check your speakers. The problem is on our end. Do not adjust your sets. We control the vertical. We control the horizontal. We just don't happen to control the volume. There we go. No audio. Yes. Yes, you can hear us. All right. So we have emerged from the silence. Stephen, back to you. Howdy, Flare. Howdy, Obsidian Tempest. Conjuring Dragon says the sound is back. Hello, hello, hello. Xylun, good to see that your name is on screen.
There were little
Bridge
videos
Troll,
of us,
yes.
but the videos are gone now. It's like
Mandalar, good to see you. Vulcan Jedi, woohoo to you too. Okay, well, I do hear like the die rolls going on that screen there, so I have Twitch up on my headset.
How about this? Can you hear me now? Yeah, there you go. All right, so much for preparation.
We are, but it's Steven's putting all this together in his defense. Just this will be part of the storytelling came up a little bit later, but we are setting up here at my cabin in Austin, Texas, which some of you who've been following on Twitter may know had an incident here. Stop that smoke! It's making me have flashbacks. Because just through the wall behind me is sadly a smoking rubble of an incident we had on July 5th, the day after my birthday. My boat dock burned down, but we'll get back to that later. But back over to you, Stephen. So but anyway, that's taking us a little while to set up here. Is we're under some adverse conditions.
Yep, and I'm getting reports of an echo, so I'm just going to change one more thing here. Well, there is. Get my. Oh, that is interesting. Speakers. There. That's fine. All right. Well, this is not working. Oh, okay. Well, then maybe it was only because Richard was the only one talking.
oh, stop. Like I can't see Richard explaining things or.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing is that I'm only on one monitor. Yeah. So what I did again, apologies for this. This is going to be a little bit of a hokey stream. Assuming that everybody can hear me now, right? Yeah. Okay. Devil Cult says everything's good now. So basically, here's the thing. I'm on one monitor. I should have brought another monitor with me. One of the oddities of OBE or OBS is that if you have the like the Google Meet running and you switch active windows over to OBS, for instance, then it just blacks out all the camera streams. It's silly, so you have to have another monitor to throw that on, so it doesn't get covered up by something else. So I've tweaked it a little bit so we could get this going the way we have it right now. But more than likely, when we do anything actually in game, we may lose the camera video for a while there.
So Stephen, in that case, why don't you, since we're not running around in the game right now, why don't you suppress the game video and just take our beautiful portraits and make that full screen?
That's a good idea.
Or am I asking for too much of this?
No, actually, that's not that hard to do.
Can you also crop it so you just see the video pictures of us and not the actual.
Yeah, that part's a little bit harder because I don't have the second monitor to make it.
Nice and pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
And can you make us also cartoon characters?
Give me a month, I'll do that.
And can you make sure you get our good side?
Make me extra muscular.
And make me a little thinner.
Or any muscular.
And younger. I keep telling my kids, I really do have blonde hair. You just have to look at my tail. I never see the lack of hair or the gray hair. I can only directly see the blonde hair, so I'm still a blonde, whether my kids will admit it or not.
Okay, now we have something a little bit better. We could chat on this until we go into the game later.
I have a question for Richard. Did you want some assistance in summoning your character into Castle Atos?
Oh, no, I can get there fine by myself. I didn't know you were already there, so I will
Yeah,
jump.
there's a bunch of people. We're just noodling around. We're doing a lot of juggling.
No problem, understood.
I'm assuming right now we can still see the monitor. The thing.
We have a lot of different types of juggling.
Absolum, so sorry, I just summoned you to where I was versus going to you at Castle Atos. So, Absolum, apologies, but now I'm going to zone over to Castle Atos. Absolum, if you can grab Absolum and bring him over, then that will correct the damage I just did. Apologies.
I can get him.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm loading into the
Yes,
loading into the scene as well.
Very, very platinum blonde. Yes, a little more platinum. The part I can see doesn't look that platinum. It really does. I promise. It looks blonde to me. I'm trained to see it as blonde, though, of course, too. And just for the record, Stephen, I still see on the Twitch stream that it's the world view without us in it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, no,
really.
I see in the Twitch stream. I see just the video windows right now.
Oh, well. Oh, there we go. I've got it back now, too.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
Just lag. Yeah.
Something that refresh. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Something been paused. All right. All right. Just a video. But do you see our pretty faces in that window, or do you see black boxes, Keith?
It's black boxes, but I think because the focus is not on that window.
Yeah. That's me right now. I'll be trying to bring up something else. I'll be able to sort that in a second.
So I'll give half an intro. So you're watching a live stream for Shroud of the Avatar, shroudoftheavatar.com. We are a free-to-play game. We are essentially a massively multiplayer game, but you can play just with friends or single player, or even offline if you want. There's a lot of possibilities. But our focus usually is on the massively multiplayer part of it. We are in one of our towns called Castle Atos, and there's a ton of players around doing special effects. Hopefully not too many, because sometimes that slows things down for a lot of people. Stephen probably has like a better introduction, but I'll also mention that Richard Garriott de Caillou is with us. He is Lord British, the ruler of the land here. He is known to sometimes come and actually meet with players in the game, and he's also going to be doing that today. His birthday was recently, the 4th of July, and we like to celebrate his birthday, and he likes to come and join the people in Twitch and in the game for his birthday. So we're very honored to have him here. And we're going to do a bunch of things. Stephen has like a list of things we're going to do. Mostly it's answer questions, tell some stories, maybe even show off a few things as well.
All right. I'm Ravalox, aka Secret.
Just went offline. Nope.
All right. What? Nope. All right.
It switched to a commercial. Never mind.
Oh, did it? Okay. So, I'm currently the acting operations manager, community manager, and sometimes actual creative dev for the game, and trying to balance a bunch of different hats at once. Anyway, most people know me as Ravalox, and that's all I have to say about that. I take on too much stuff, and I'm trying to sort through everything, as is an example of today. But we'll get there eventually. So. Okay.
Excellent.
Allie, you
Vesper.
want to go next, or?
Okay. My dev account is Allium. Most people know me as Allium because that's an older player account. I handle the bug forum and the patch notes, and I have just started to get into actual development work, fix typos and some crafting characterization problems.
Oh, that's where you're really low.
But we did get your Vesper, and that's it. And all right, well, in which case I'll jump in after you, Vesper, and say hello, everybody. I'm Richard Gary, Lord British, and I would like to, as I have often done when I come back, is to first say thank you to everybody in here that's playing. As Keith sort of alluded to, not only is this an online MMO style game, but it's also one made by you, the community of players. And when I say made by, I mean that in all different senses of the term. Not only did we crowdfund most of the money that was used to create the game itself, but in fact, a lot of people within the community made music for the game, made art for the game, added all kinds of creative content in the game. And as it has already been mentioned, we're here in Castle Atos right now. I'm up there dancing on the top dais. But one of the things I always do when I get in is I tell people to friend me, because that way they'll always know when I go in and out of the game. And if they see me pop in, I like to go and party with people, to run around and see what people are doing inside the game itself too. So if you haven't /friended me, do a /friend Lord British and you'll get to me. And the people that I am accepting their friendship, who since I last logged in had requested that I join their friend, are people like Arcus Blackwing and Buzzardbait and Caballero Negro and El Sordo and Falcon Minamoto and Nora Minamoto, Isabel Ayan, Katie Emagon. Katie, thank you, good to know you. Kenichigo Klein, Laffy Giggle, Malcolm Brickhouse, Rowena Stinging Bird, Rubmore Rumber, Kakar Blowiski, TNG, Xanthosud, Vespers, and Zylu Galadum, and Alec Sander. Thanks to all of you for not only playing the game, but now being my friend, and see most of you are actually in the game right now. I can see there's a good 50 to 100 people in here with us, and great to have you all here. Great to be here with you. And again, thank you so much for playing with us here in this place that we have created together.
Richard, gotta jump in for a second. I forgot to mention before you get into like a story or something. So we will, at least once today, probably several times, we will have what we call the Prizening, which is we like to give away stuff to players. And the way you can have your name entered into the Prizening, it's a random drawing, is you can, say in any in-game chat, not the Twitch chat, but the in-game chat, if you say these words, "Happy birthday, Lord British," then you will get added into the random list that we'll pull from later.
And I will also give you my thanks for wishing me a happy birthday. That would be very kind of you. And but I saw some people putting it over in the Twitch stream. It has to be in game, and British is with 1 T. I saw somebody spell it with 2 T's a little earlier.
Yep.
And thank you for the translation, Gia.
Hey, Mr. Lord British, sir.
Indeed.
Look at your chat window. Look at your chat window in game.
My chat window in game. Press.
And then there's the command. Sorry, a little in the wings stuff.
yes. No, but let's see. I can't copy paste that over though. So
I could do. Was it guys /copy /1 for copying one line?
Copy one will get the last line on the screen.
If
there's a lot of scroll, you might want to just do copy and then put it in Notepad so you can grab the one you want.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's see if I can do that.
And in worst case, if you want, I'll come over into the other room.
You might need to come over and do it since we're in the same building and it's scrolling by quick enough for me to try to keep up with. But but yes, we have what he is noting is we have gifts for everybody here today too. So
in addition to the Prizening.
In addition to the Prizening, we'll take care of that in a little bit.
Yep.
But Ravlox, back to you. What is our order of our agenda?
Okay, so first thing that's up is our normal review of our release, and just talk about what we got has come into the game, and so what is coming into the game. So obviously this month we've been advertising the Lord British Bash and everything that we are now in, and it's been a heck of a juggle to get everything in line and done. Now, just to go over it, this was another polished release. So next month, release 116 is our official content release. Even though we tend to put out some new content throughout the 90-day period, we try to concentrate the major updates once every 90 days to give us enough time to make sure all the bugs are worked out and all that stuff. So next release cycle, there's going to be some good stuff in there. This release cycle, we definitely got in some maps done. So I believe, I know these by the region numbers. What was Alium is the best. She's like the encyclopedia here. What was the region?
The ones you completed were in South Palatus.
There we are. Okay, yeah. So South Palatus is done now. And what I've been doing, this is for everybody, of course, but also Richard would know, that before I was trying to update the maps based on utilization, it was too much of a splatter gun. It just didn't work. So I started to go region by region, and I started with Region 1, which is Perennial Coast. And I'm trying to complete all the maps for the main storyline. So did the Love branch, the Truth branch, and this next month is going to be the Courage branch, which is going to be around Resolute, in what I lovingly call the caldera, the middle of the map, just west of the large volcano on the overworld. So all that area is going to be done as well. So that'll take care of people who are trying to complete the main quest lines, things like that. And before anybody asks, yes, this is true that we still aren't doing maps for underworld areas. It would kind of be cheating. So just look at a map and then go find your way around the maze. But we are hoping at some point to get in technology that will allow us to do Fog of War. So once
Fog of War, that would be great. But for now, we decided a long time ago that the underground scenes, dungeons or the special, you have to go through a scene to get to a scene situations, they were more mysterious than the other ones, and we wanted you to have a little bit of an extra difficulty challenge.
Exactly, right. And, pen and paper works to map. So, hey, it's just like an old Ultima game. Big shock. So that's where we are with that. And so we got actually, this was technically 10, but there was a map that I had to touch, so it was like 11 maps that I got into the game or updated in the game total this cycle. Next cycle, if everything goes well, I'll be able to get I think there's a half dozen maps or so in the, let's say, the Resolute area to get done. And then from there, I'll keep going onto the northern region, I think, is next after that, more towards Norgard, north and west, that type of thing.
Verdantis.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, Verdantis, that's right. In fact, I have that in the notes that Verdantis would be next after Resolute. So, that would be the area. So let's see. Instead of me just rambling on about stuff, is there anything, Keith, that you would put into the game this cycle that you'd like to highlight?
I've been spending a lot of time working on my new map. I did a lot of bug fixes besides that, little small things. I don't really remember. It's been a long month. But
it was. That was a long cycle. Yeah.
I kind of gave a little reveal in Discord about what I'm working on next. And so I'll sort of just give you like a little one-paragraph pitch about what the next map that I'm working on is. So it's it's what we call a nested map, like these dungeons. A dungeon is nested within a main scene. You have to go through the main scene to get to the dungeon. So this will be an underground map underneath Port Harmony. It's called Port Harmony Cistern. It won't be too complicated of a map. You know, I keep doing like these big maps. Vickland is huge. Port Harmony ended up being bigger than I expected it to be. So now I need a little bit of a small, quicker palette cleanser kind of thing, and that's going to be the Port Harmony Cistern. Don't be confused by the word cistern. You know, it's not like Kiln Cistern, which has a great puzzle situation. There will be a little bit of a puzzle situation in Port Harmony Cistern. It's a different kind of puzzle. It is water related. There will be bad guys there. There will be initial quests in there. It'll be repeatable. You probably, I think, one person or a small group of people might be fine doing it. It won't be too high of a tier. You know, hopefully people like it enough that they want to keep coming back every once in a while, not just do it just the once.
Gotcha.
So, there you go.
You also, yep, and you also did a whole bunch of updates on the keys, right?
Oh yeah, so we have a lot of stuff in the game, a lot of items in the game still that you can't be deleted and don't automatically get taken from you at the end of a quest or through using that item on a lock or a magic door or whatever. Some of that stuff was originally intended to be that you could keep it so it could be a decoration, but probably the better situation is to allow you to sort of get rid of it whenever you want. And if you get a decoration version, we do like a secret swap to give you a decoration version and take away the one that maybe you aren't ever supposed to delete in the middle of a quest because you have to have it, and maybe it's a one of a kind. So I did a big pass on keys because those are maybe some of the biggest offenders of that kind of thing, or I thought they might be. Turns out a lot of them are pretty good. Some of them couldn't be destroyed, and they were in that situation where you were stuck with this item in your inventory. So there were a few of them I changed it that you can destroy it whenever you want, and if you're on the quest where you need it, you can probably go back to the source. Or if you're doing a puzzle where you need it, you can go back to the source, the original place where you got it, and probably get a replacement. What I also did was, if you had to earn a key, so keys normally, if you don't want it, you can sell it to a merchant, an NPC merchant, but you don't get anything for it. It was worth 0 gold. So if you were allowed to sell it, you get nothing for it. So what I did was, if you had to earn that key, such as you had to kill somebody to get it, and that key wasn't related to like a quest or something, it was just sort of a an in the world key, like you might sort of kill a guard and you're allowed to like open a locked chest or door or something in the area, say like it's a prison cell or just a workshop or whatever. It wasn't critical to any quest. Then you can now sell that key for 1 gold. You might be collecting a stack of like 5 or 10 or 50 or whatever. You can now sell each one of those for 1 gold. If the key didn't allow you to stack it, so you can only have one of those keys at a time and it still fit the same requirements, I just made it worth 2 gold. So it's not huge change, but it's a little nice quality of life kind of change, I feel. And over time, I've been doing similar things to other objects in the game randomly, usually quest items, and I'll continue to do that. But I got a big bug up I thought about all the keys, and we have like 140 of them, and more coming because there'll be more in Port Cistern. But now I have like a good, healthy set of rules to apply to keys and how we use them, and how you can get rid of them if you don't want them, or there were even a couple that were like the decorations were kind of broken, so you really couldn't set them up right as your house decorations. And now those are fixed too. So there you go.
Exactly.
Keys updated.
Excellent. Okay, so the next thing on the list here as well would be the sound preview button for wax cylinders in the Crown Store, which of course could apply to other audio related stuff. Devil Colt did a great job of doing that, and he did it really quickly too. I thought that we would have to take a deeper look at that, and you just basically, I'll do that, bang, no problem, got right in there. And that's actually a really good quality of life thing, because basically if you bought if you're going to buy something out of the Crown Store that was audio related, you had no way of finding out what it was. The preview just showed you the cylinder itself. And
this was a wish list request.
There you go. Do we know who did the wish list? Who was the actual requester?
I believe it was Isabel Ian, but I'm only mostly sure of that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that actually sounds familiar. One of the things I wanted to start doing, which I think we might have gotten one or two in there, is when it is the result of a wish list, we should, if we can, remember to put the name of the player who actually made the request into the patch notes. Good idea. Yeah. So and that's it's another little item. What it needs to be done is it needs to be put into the CL because that's where the patch notes come from. So it's a little bit more of a process. You have to think about it. In addition, another item that was actually kind of huge to get done, but not an incredible effort. A lot of testing to make sure it was going to work right and wasn't going to cause problems. Players have been asking, requesting, yet I say demanding that we increase the character limit on the conversationalist. So the whole story is that it's a two-part effort. I updated the character limit on the Crown Store conversationalist to 60,000 characters from 20,000. And we threw that on QA and tested it, and I threw up a test script, which was actually a melding of a couple of players' scripts to one was kind of a lore-centric story thing where you could talk to a conversational and it would tell you all about the history of New Britannia and stuff like that. And the other one was a tarot card reader. So those two combined brought me to 59,800 characters. So that was excellent. Got it in there, got it all to work together, and had players go in there with a testing directive. And they all reported the same thing, that the script took less than a second to load. Or maybe a second and a half on some slower connections or lower machines. The script is loaded at the time when you access the conversationalist. So my concern was making sure that there wasn't enough lag in loading the script that where it appears that it might have been a bug, right? So in this case, it works fine. Uploading the script may take a little bit longer, but I'm not as concerned about that on the back end. There is one bug that's related to this that actually, Devacult, if you're listening, then we need to actually bump that up a little bit to basically turn off the functionality where the script is actually kind of being displayed in a window. It's not an editor, so it's not really worth showing, the first some odd number of characters of your script in there. Basically, actually, I think I have a Jira open for this, so we'll discuss it offline. But basically, what happens now with the 60,000 character version is that the buffer on the screen load, on the script load, overlaps itself. So you get this weird double text artifact on the screen. So we still have to fix that, but that's not operational. It's just a visual artifact, as I said. So with that, the second part of this effort was to complete an audit and make sure that everything that was supposed to be a conversationalist was actually set as a conversationalist, and that only the craftable ones are set for the 2,000 character limit. So the craftable ones are meant to be for basic scripts and an introduction into using conversationalists. So the ones that are in the Crown Store, 60,000 characters, should absolutely be the top end that we're aiming for long term to allow the using of variables and remembering the character's name and things along those lines. Obviously there's still possibilities of expansions down the road. It would be nice if, in my opinion, if the conversationalists were able to actually give out a reward for completing a quest. So we do have those types of tags. So there's still some possibility for expansion of that mechanic in the future. But as it is now, that's where we are with the conversationalists. So have at it. Start populating some bigger stories. This way you don't have to daisy chain some conversationalists together. 60,000 characters definitely should be enough to accomplish like one leg of a quest and then send them off to someplace else. So okay, I'm just scrolling down the notes here to see if there's anything else that we could pull out.
I did, adding on to my fixing of objects thing, one thing I did was some players do sieges a lot, and they collect a lot of arcane catalysts, and they're not I guess some of these these players aren't able to turn in the catalyst fast enough. So there's sort of a special option for the arcane catalyst quest, which is if the character that you're turning into detects that you actually have double the amount that you need, they'll actually take 36 of those catalysts and give you a double quest reward. So that way, hopefully, it'll catch up a little bit.
Cool. All right, I'm getting ready.
And then you're going back to 18.
I'm sorry, Keith. What was that?
It's just now it's sort of like 2 levels of the quest. If you don't have 36, then they will just expect you to turn in 18 of the arcane catalysts like normal.
Okay. I'm going ahead and I'm getting ready to run the first round of Prizenings.
Prizening!
Balloon, you can still hand in 18. You just have the choice of doing 36 if you have them.
That. We're going to run at least 2 Prizenings an hour. We suspect the stream is going to last for some time, so there's definitely going to be opportunities for extra Prizenings here. And of course, the usual goes, if there's hype trains completed, each hype train level adds on another Prizening. And if there's any other determinations, then we'll add on some more as well. All right. Okay, good. All right. So obviously the patch notes were chock full of other fixes as well. I think those are some good highlights that we covered there. We could go to a point here where if anybody has any additional questions on something that we've done in this release, go ahead and ask. I know we had a few Ask-A-Devs this morning, and some of them I definitely wanted to address. Just checking my... This is a lot easier with 4 monitors.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Okay, we got the initial Prizenings run. All right, so anybody who does the Prizening phrase, Happy Birthday, Lord British, from here forward will be entering in for the next run of the Prizening. This. Now,
and while you're doing that, I'm going to say thank you for people friending me. Cherpri, thank you so much for your friendship and follow. Deantera Tuero. Deantero Tuero. Thank you for being my friend. And Stringfellow Hawk, thank you as well. Nice to have all of you on my friends list. Thank you so kindly. Anybody that's not yet a friend, do type /friend Lord British, and I will happily mutually keep track of each other as well.
Awesome. I have a few requests up there too. Obviously, if I go and look at those, then we'll lose the cameras. Let me see. What was I doing? Okay, so all right, so we have the Prizenings coming up, and we'll be able to read those off. And actually, while we read those off, if I could get 2 people other than myself to do the Prizenings, then I will pop over into the other room and assist Lord British with
I've already got it. I got it.
Oh, you did?
Took care of it.
Oh,
I got it.
Well, there you go. That's why you're Lord British.
And that's you guys. You're. I didn't know how long your update would take, but you spoke long enough for me to figure it out. So,
excellent.
I have gifts for everybody here too.
Okay, good. All right. Indeed. And those will be handed out throughout, obviously.
Would you like
yes. Well, in fact, let me tell. Can I talk about it right now?
Sure. Go for it.
Oh, so hey everybody. I come bearing gifts for all of you as well. We specifically made a unique item, a Lord British 62 shield. This is my 60-second orbit of the sun. And so all you need to do it at your leisure. We're going to be here. There's no need to rush. But if you come and just do a trade with me, I will hand you one of these completely custom Lord British 62 shields that we have made for you this evening. There we go. And it has begun. Very good.
So as a reminder, Lord British is in Castle Atos in Novia right now. So if you go, once you enter through the main gate, go back towards the throne room area. You'll see like a bunch of people around, and that's where he is. In the middle of the crowd.
Right on top here with the carpet. And obviously I'm not going to be easily keeping track of whether I've given you one already or not. So please, after you have received your cloak, let somebody else get a chance, please.
Yeah, please don't abuse that. We might check the logs.
Yeah, the honesty virtue is celebrated.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm looking for a channel I can't find. Why? Oh, there it is. Okay, good.
All right, nice radio sounds we got going on, guys.
Well, there's
okay,
going on in the game. So here,
Yeah.
somebody else has the floor.
Actually, I'll say this.
You all embracing chaos and not forming a line.
Yes, that's a good point.
It's
hopefully
like
this doesn't give me a problem. But if someone's like stuck far away and they want to sort of try to get here, if they're having trouble getting here or figuring out where it is, you can message me in the game, whisper to me in the game, Sanio, which is Sannio, and then I'll try to summon you to the area. Might backfire on me because there's a ton of people here, so be prepared to lag a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so
I see someone asking if Atos is still alive, and I believe some of you had lunch with him today.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Yes,
I can confirm it. I not only speak with him fairly regularly, but I actually saw him face to face today. So it is true. He is still alive and kicking, and wish he could be right with us. He was with us at our team lunch. He had something take over his this hour slot, so he couldn't be with us. But otherwise, normally he would be, of course.
Yeah, he has back-to-back, overbooked, double booked, it's all sorts of stuff. In fact, because it was an opportunity to actually prevent him from leaving after Lord British left and started heading over to where we are now, and I was supposed to follow. I ended up staying for another 45 minutes at the restaurant, and we kind of had a big continuation of back and forth about a bunch of stuff. A lot of ideas being thrown around and status updates, stuff like that. So, okay. So while we are doing all this, I got two things here on the pile to do. One is the Prizening, to read that off. So since I don't have to go help Richard with anything, then I could be one of the people reading off of things. So anybody else want to volunteer for whatever I'm not going to read?
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so then I will read off the player names, and if you want to read off the prizes.
Okay. The first prize in the list is a Lord British round shield.
And that goes to Seal Astra and Aurelius Silverson.
Oh, a lot of colors there. A Lord British medium telescope.
Fred Flintstone and Boss, B-O-S.
A Lord British throne.
Dash Banjo and Gravity. Hey, Gravity.
Huzzah, Banjo. Huzzah, Gravity.
A Lord British moon dial.
That'll go to Janie Murphy and Temujin.
And a 2014 Lord British birthday cake.
Oh boy, this is Fietna Chompers and Alina Stormborn. Congratulations to everybody on the first round of Prizenings for today's Lord British Fiesta. Okay. And then the next thing I had on here is some Ask-A-Devs, as I mentioned before. There were a few Ask-A-Devs I think we could address here. Going back. So some of these are recent. They're not from today, but there are a few that are from today that we'll talk about. One question that has actually I think come up a number of times is can we have a lava fishing town template for POTs? And the answer to that is that we have a JIRA for it. Looking for an underground, that's for an underground variant that would have lava fishing in it.
We have a JIRA, so it should be true eventually.
Exactly. Let's JIRA that.
I've definitely been taking care of JIRAs that are quite old. So just because it's an old JIRA doesn't necessarily mean we won't do it. We don't necessarily just sort of put it in the basement and forget about it.
Right. Yeah, I think that one of the JIRAs recently taken care of started with a 1. Like 16,000 or something. Right?
Deuterum, do accept the trade. I've given you a shield. You have to accept it.
We have grabbed a very old JIRA to add some content to the game for next month as well, too. And it's a Lord British one.
Oh, there you go.
I'd like to ask the players who are crafting Lord British but already have their item, please move up the steps area to give them a little space, let everyone get to see our monarch. We probably should have had people get in a line.
Yeah.
I would have made it easy on Richard.
We'll have Lord British stand on a flight of stairs or something. Okay, so here's another one. I'm going to channel Darkstar right now, and the Ask-A-Dev is has Unity. Yeah, of course we have Unity. That's what the game is built on. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's see. Actually, Z asks with trolls, liches, etc., and totems, why is the spider the only one that I know of that goes to T4 when we have T20 spiders in the game? Yeah, that's actually this. When I made the spider rooms, that was kind of my first effort on that. So they probably could stand to get an upgrade on that. But I also am actually looking into reworking the mechanic of how the player dungeon rooms work completely. So I'm looking to basically eliminate the totems. I don't like the way the totems work in the game. I'd rather have an out of game, a UI element for that instead. And with that, hopefully, if this all works out, would change the way we are able to put spawners into the rooms. Before anybody gets too excited, no, it wouldn't be kind of like you'd be able to select your spawners and place them wherever you want. We have certain limitations on that. But I would be able to, in theory, pre-populate a whole bunch of different stuff so you'd have more choices for a room. So more on that probably in 2024. It's getting late in the year for me to even get into that now. But try to get that specifically on the roadmap for next year. That'll be something that Devil Cult and I'll probably be tied to the hip for a while. I have to write up all the specs on it, and then he's going to have to be the one to figure out how to make it all work. So,
all right. Well,
sorry.
I don't know. I was going to say I've given out a good number. The frequency of trade has dropped off. So I'm going to say a welcome and happy friendship to Alina Stormborn, Submarine Mike, and Trini Lopez. Thanks to the three of you thanks for being a friend. And And here we go, over to Spellfire Blood Moon. Here is your Lord British shield, Lord British 62 shield.
Awesome.
And I'm going to answer another Ask a Dev.
Dokie.
Zealot, last May, said, can we have a crafting table that randomly takes things out of your inventory and crafts a random recipe? And I'm going to say, if we were to build such a table, the required tool for that table would be a chaos spoon. So if you have a chaos spoon, we might consider building the table for you.
Very nice.
How many of those are in the whole game? Those have to be pretty rare, I'm assuming.
I believe the initial number made was 16, and I don't know if all of those were distributed.
Yeah, I could run a report on that. Even while I could run a report. Yeah, I could technically run if I run the report, though, while I'm doing this, it's like I'd lose cameras. But the bottom line there is that I believe there's about 5 or 6 actually distributed
in the game,
and that would be accurate. That the initial 16 were given to one person to be distributed from there. But yeah, that's actually I do like that aspect that a chaos spoon would be the the tool of choice. Okay, let's see if we have anything else that's interesting.
That was young Prince Ronan. You might have seen come by my screen here, coming up to say hello.
We're getting close to being able to. Well, actually, I shouldn't be being able to, but we should probably just go ahead and we could transition over to some stories that I believe you have for us of recent events.
I do have stories, although I'm still a little
handing out stuff.
Handing stuff. But let me welcome my friends Agent Chronicles and Eldane Elvenstone as well. So hello and thank you to you two. I think I can double task a little bit here.
Okay. And if it is too much, I definitely have more Ask-A-Devs and stuff that we can go through.
Well, do a couple more Ask-A-Devs just to let me get through handing out the high frequency, at least, of handing out shields.
Sure. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Well,
do Ask-A-Dev, by the way.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So if you want to do an Ask-A-Dev in Universal Chat, it has to be in Universal Chat because we want everybody to be able to see the question being asked. Because other people may actually know the answer already, which is helpful because then we don't have to go and look at it. But this way, everybody gets to be in on what's being asked, and then we'll get when you do an Ask-A-Dev, it's sent over into our internal team chat. And then trust me, there are active conversations. In fact, when we say we're going to go find an Ask-A-Dev that maybe we can answer on stream, we have to kind of dig through some of the conversations back and forth that are going on internally, discussing the Ask-A-Devs that are going on. So they don't just go into a black hole. So if you want to actually do that, go into Universal Chat and type in Ask-A-Dev, all one word, ASKADEV, space, and then whatever it is that you want to ask, and that will then be sent over to the team. And
I love those glowing blue eyeballs some of you are carrying with you. Those are very nice. I like those.
Frost giant.
Gotcha.
Something else with Ask-A-Dev, you don't need to keep posting Ask-A-Dev. It gets saved in our big list of Ask-A-Dev questions. So.
Right. And though we haven't been great about it, we did create in the announcement section of the forums, we did create a thread, I think it was a thread, for Ask-A-Dev answers. And what we had pledged was that we were going to try to put some of the answers up there. Kind of like the way Darkstar would actually post the answers to questions that were asked on telethons way back in the day. Of course, that takes a heck of a lot of time to process and document. But and we started, and of course haven't had a lot of time to do it. But definitely want to go back and especially the ones that are asked cyclically. I'll say they posting those up in the forums would probably be helpful, so that way people know that it's been asked and answered.
A lot of them are a little bit game balance.
Thank you, Somo.
Maybe they're you ask, but maybe they're really more suggestions that might be good in the forums. You could post it like in the forums in the bug forums,
exactly.
as a suggestion, as feedback.
And that is a good point. That the Ask a Devs, what we found, we have 3 different main types of questions that'll be asked. And a lot of the stuff that's sent up to the Ask a Dev is really wish list material. So we do have a section of the forums that's dedicated to wish list items. So basically, if it's something that's not in the game or something that you would like to work differently than it is in the game, then what you want to do is go into the forums and go to the wish list section, create a new thread. We'll search the threads first to see if somebody has already brought it up. Yeah. But then create a thread about that item, and you'll get input there.
Here's a nice simple example: is someone asked, "Can we have a corgi in the game?" That's a great wish list item. Pretty simple.
Yes.
Doable in the sense that it's not like a 7-stage masterpiece of cross-system interaction. So it's doable, and so then we'll talk about it, and we'll see if we can sort of get something like that on the list. Do we have the people and tech already to handle it? Of course, that'll always make it easier.
Right. Exactly. So bug reports definitely should be in the bug forums. Wish list items should go to the wish list. Ask a Dev is more like, hey, and this is one that came up today. I'm probably going to get nasty looks from some of the devs here for bringing this up, because this is still under discussion internally. So I'm not going to answer it, but I want to note that we are talking about it. It was brought up in an Ask a Dev, as well as a forum post earlier, about the cost of skill, unlocking a skill. And I'm not even going to go into the question, because this is seriously under discussion right now as to what won't, what to do about it, or if it's the way we're going to leave it, or what. But that is a perfect Ask a Dev, because it's like, hey, is this intended? So a lot of the min-max type of questions, or things like, hey, this looks wrong in the UI. Is this a typo, or was this intended to be this way? Things like that. Those are good Ask a Devs. And as I said, if it's something that players have asked in the past, or some of the more experienced veteran players are around, they may be able to jump in on Universal and say, oh yeah, no, we asked about this. This is what's going on. This will change, or it won't change, or there's a JIRA for it, or whatever. So, it's an extension of the players helping players, and then the players helping us as well. So that takes care of an Ask a Dev and an explanation of Ask a Dev.
And if I can jump in and say, first of all, thank you to my new friends, Dakiras, as well as Kendra Sadler. Good to meet you both. And by the way, also the rate of trades is dropping off a little bit here. So everybody please check. I had a couple of error things pop up on my screen. So just make sure you did receive it. If you did not receive the Lord British 62 shield, feel free to request again, and we'll straighten that up. But Dakeras, I give you yours. There you go. And also Acorn Bubble Boots. Acorn Bubble Boots. What a fun little name. Fun long name, Acorn Bubble Boots. But there also is yours, Gwendolyn Obscuro. There is your Lord British 62 shield. But let me get these last few shields out, and then I'd be happy to dive into some stories. I do think it'll be hard for me to tell the story. The story I intend to tell. Both stories I have here to tell today are rather serious. So I would rather not be in the middle of handing out a bunch of trades in order to do it. So I'll wait till people are more or less satiated with shields, and then I'll go on to a little bit of storytelling.
All right, that sounds good.
Actually, get a ton of those shields, and then I'll move off a little bit to one side, and I can continue. Or is the part of the magic getting it from Lord British himself?
Could be both, but what I'll do is let me just wait till the flow rate slows down, and then do you have them, or I can hand you a stack if you trade with me also.
Yeah, I'm right next to you, and I will do that. You just have to
There
give
you
me
go. I
one.
see. Yeah, hang on a second here. Let me trade with you.
In that case, we're definitely going to be checking the logs to make sure nobody got a duplicate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Right.
There you go.
Yep. But we do this during parties as well. Like when we have the Bug Brigade anniversary party, things like that.
And so now, by the way, I'm sure any of you that are playing in game can see Senyo standing right here next to me. And he can continue to hand out any of those if any of you haven't received them, or you can wait till the break in the storytelling. But I'm going to go on into storytelling here, if I may. So sorry, Isabel Marigold, but if you'll pardon me for just a minute, you can come back to me in a little bit after I finish this little story, or grab one from Senyo, who will have them for you too. Okay, so Stephen and I were talking ahead of this stream as to which, if either or both of these stories we thought would be appropriate to tell. I'm happy to talk about both of them. One I already alluded to, but the other one is something you may have heard about in the news. A lot of you may know that in addition to me spending my kind of work creative time making video games for the last 40 or 50 years, as a personal passion, I also am a bit of an explorer. And I could argue more than just a little bit of an explorer. I happen to be the only person so far who has explored the Earth from the North Pole to the South Pole, orbited above the Earth in space, and dove down to the deepest point in the oceans, the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And I currently have a highly paid volunteer job where I'm the current president of the Explorers Club, which is headquartered up in New York City. And some of you may have heard the other day that there was a group of explorers who were headed down to the Titanic in a submarine referred to as the Titan. And unfortunately, the Titan didn't make it down to the Titanic. The Titan imploded and killed all 5 explorers that were on board, including 2 members of the Explorers Club, one of whom was a close personal friend. And the reason to mention this story is not only just because it's a sad tale that happened to involve friends of mine recently, but also I was involved in at least the significant attempt to rescue them. When Hamish Harding was the close friend of mine who was on the submarine, and when we heard that the submarine that Hamish, who was with a group of us that were leaders of the Explorers Club, we were all together in the Azores having a global exploration summit. He left the night before the rest of us in order to go to make that submarine trip. So we were all kind of wishing him, sending him good wishes as he departed. And then the rest of us left the next morning to fly to our homes, which is the morning he left to go dive down to the Titanic. And unfortunately, when I landed in New York is when I first heard that their submarine had gone missing. But because it's an interesting tale that I know many of you who have watched it on the news know how much effort was put into trying to rescue them. Because so many of my friends had friends on that sub, we of course were also working tirelessly to try to find any hope or provide any hope of rescue had they managed to be surviving, for example, on the bottom in a sub that might have been disabled but still whole. So for about 5 days, as you guys probably heard, there were ships brought out from France and England and Canada and the United States. We actually worked with everybody from Woods Hole to the Coast Guard to Navy and the Air Force to try to bring out a particular kind of equipment. We had seen that what was coming were rovers, submersibles, remotely operated vehicles that had cameras on them but no claws, and they were bringing out a Navy system called FADOS, which had basically a skill crane on a long chain that could go down and try to pick something up off the bottom. But we were concerned that the skill crane would crush the sub, because we knew that was one of the weak points of this sub, or we felt that was one of the weak points, and so we were pushing to get this different kind of system called a working class ROV, rated to at least 4,000 meters, brought down to that depth, and or brought out to that site. And ultimately we did convince the Coast Guard and others that that's the system they needed out there, and it was in process of being brought out. But that's when one of the inspection class ROVs, which does not have a manipulated arm, did finally manage to get down to that depth, only right at the very end of the potential survival time of air on board, and they found the vehicle debris down there, showing that it had imploded, probably on its initial descent. In fact, they eventually said publicly, but I had actually heard the day of, that the United States Seismic Network had picked up an implosion event at the time and place of the submarine going down. But because that had never been made public through that 5-day period, we were assuming that it must not have been incontrovertible as to what that had happened. And so, since it was not conclusive in our mind what had occurred, we felt it was very important to keep the eye on a rescue attempt, which in the end, of course, unfortunately, has turned out not to be the case, and plenty of people's misgivings about that particular submersible have now been stated. I've even gone on the record saying I knew of this submersible. I'd been invited to participate in the submersible, and I had opted out of participating with the submersible due to concerns that both my professional submersible builder and operator friends advised me, and also some direct experience I had with some of the team. And so I'm sure that there will now be plenty of other activity, from lawsuits to legal legislation put in place, or attempted to be put in place, to try to make deep submersible travel safer. Prior to this incident, there had never been a fatality in any deep submersible. There still has never been a fatality in any deep commercially rated or submersible. Most every submersible other than this one has been registered and insured. This one was not. And so that might be one thing that changes in the litigation, is that if you're going to take commercial clients down with you on a submarine, you need to be have a rating and insurance, that implies that someone has reviewed your engineering and forced you to go through periodic inspections to ensure that you meet the same safety standards that the rest of the industry does. So in any case, that's one little story that kept me busy for about a week. We were up me and quite a few others were up 24/7 for about a week during this process, in what we hoped would be a rescue attempt. In the end, it ended up not being not being possible, of course, since it appears the submarine was destroyed early in the mission. But anyway, there's a story for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna later this year, for our fellow explorers, we're gonna do some events at the Explorers Club and celebrate their life and participation in exploration. Hamish, the friend of mine that I was mentioning, was not only an incredibly seasoned explorer, but also one that was contributing greatly to the field of exploration. As an example, this last November, he was pivotal in his business was chartering commercial jets, and he heard that one of our other explorer members, a woman by the name of Dr. Lori Marker, had been raising cheetahs to re-release cheetahs into India, where they were hunted into extinction 75 years ago, and to transport 8 predators 8 big cats from Namibia, a remote desert location in Namibia, to a remote desert location in India was beyond Lorry Marker's capability to pull off. And so Hamish stepped up and arranged to have a 747 where they ripped out all the seats in a 747. They brought on spare tires and spare engine parts and an entire engineering team into that 747. They flew it to Namibia. They picked up not only the cheetahs and crates, but all their veterinary staff and handlers. They flew them again to this very remote spot in India and released them with Prime Minister Modi to where now there are cheetahs again in India, where, as I'd mentioned, they were hunted to extinction 75 years ago. So that's the kind of work this guy does. He's been a great contributor to both exploration and conservation around the planet. So he'll be sorely missed. How's that for a story there, Stephen?
Yep, absolutely, very good one. Of course, there's that second one that's very much close to home. I don't know if you want to dovetail right into that, but
yeah, I will. I'll get them both. I'll get them both off, just so we can get on to happier things like adventuring together, perhaps, or whatever we have next on our queue.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yes,
I'm gonna go ahead and do the slideshow thing.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay.
And, for those of you who didn't know, you're here, so you must know. But July 4th was my birthday. July 5th, my daughter was leaving town to head to France to catch up with my wife, who went there first, and my son Ronan and I will be going there here in a couple of days. We just had to stagger it out, do some stuff we needed done here in Austin, and tragically, as you can see there on screen, a fire caught in my boat dock, and there's a little building you might be able to see there right in the center front of my boat docks that my neighbor who saw this first, when he came out here to rescue my dog that was in the cabin here, saw that little storage building had fire shooting out of the top of it. No fire anywhere else in it, so we know it started in that little building, but we really have no idea what in that little building set it off. But and that's just the pictures you see there are just 10 feet through the back wall behind me. So we're very lucky that it didn't burn down the cabin. Very lucky it didn't kill my dog. Very lucky it didn't kill us. But don't really know what caused it. But sadly, that's going to be a big mess for me to deal with over the next, I don't know how long. It'll be a while. But Quasar, thank you for the friend request. Well, there you go. Those are my 2 stories.
Yep, and chemical reaction is one of the possibilities.
Yeah, we had a breaker that was giving us some trouble in there. That we at least is suspicious. The breaker box actually had flame damage around it. It makes that a suspicious outlier. But then in that, because those storage boxes were on top of a boat dock, we always had water, moisture, intrusion issues. Things were molding in them. And so we lined all those lockers with white plastic PVC material to kind of keep out the moisture. But I'm sure once fire started, that also was an accelerant, and is part of the reason why, even though the response of neighbors and fire and myself was very fast, it was still a mighty blaze, sadly.
Yep. So with that said, like you said, and get on to another happier thing. We do actually have some stuff where we could acknowledge some people and some stuff that's going on in the game.
We do indeed.
Yes. So the very first one we want to talk about is the monthly fishing contests are actually now run by one of our players, and I think Diablotine is in the audience here someplace. Now I should bring up the screen at this point.
Yes, Diablotine, are you nearby? Can you come join us up front here?
He's not able to join the stream. I did invite him in. Gotcha. Cool. Excellent. So hold on a second. I just need to get the right screen up on here now. Why is this not showing the right stuff? Oh, actually, because it's behind the cameras. That's why.
I'm feeling claustrophobic up on these steps. I don't think anyone has crowded us like this before.
Maybe you should go back to juggling mesas. That definitely made me want to take a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so for this part
Kill
here, I'm not
everyone
going to
in
have the
there.
cameras up. This out of the way. Close this. And I don't know if that actually makes the game screen black or not. I don't think. Yeah, it's just the cameras that it does. So okay, let me get up to the top of the stairs so I can see what's going on. Yeah. Oh wow, this place is a little crowded. Okay, so basically, Devil Claw, are you in the game too? So basically, what I'd like to see. Oh, who's trading with me now? Darkstalker. All right. Yeah, let me get that out of the way. So Devil Colt, if you could come up, Sanyo, if you could come up, and all
right, everyone, we're gonna pause on trading the items now.
Yeah. So, Lord British, I think I could just hand this to you at this point. I think you know where to go from here.
Yep.
If everyone can clear the Lord British rug on the top of the stairs, at least, that would be great. I'm gonna run around the rug so everyone knows the rug I'm talking about. Clear the rug. Look at you, Quasar, Michael Borg, Warcrow.
Yeah, Stein.
Cigar TV, Mapper.
Quasar.
Bo Rash.
Mapper's AFK. I can pull him off.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, no worries. Okay, all right.
I need a dev power that's just push.
Shove.
Yeah.
Shove, and I could type a number and slash push everyone.
Put it in the
20.
feature request. Put it in the feature request. Make a Jira.
I gotta write that.
There's
down.
always kill all.
Yeah,
And they
I
have
can
the
do that too.
corpses. They're still on
Yeah.
the rug.
Okay. All right. So, Lord British, if you want to start with talking about Diablotine, and then we could go from there. I'll help out with the list.
Very good. Absolutely. So, again, everybody, welcome and thank you. And specifically for Diablotine, the fishing contests have always been one of our most fun activities, but it also requires a lot of heavy labor to do it right, to set them up, to manage the duration of the event, to make sure that awards are handed out appropriately. And Diablotine has been running these community contests for about a year now, and has done a really excellent job. I think the dev team has sure appreciated the help. The community has appreciated the results of these, and so we would love to say thank you to Diablotine. By the way, the Diablotine has also done the monthly write-ups, the sign-ups, tracking all the fish, and manually tallying at the end of the month the results. And so for Diablotine's incredible contributions to this game and to this community, we would like to offer you an ONBE, an Order of the New Britannian Empire award. If you would please come join me here, and if everyone please applaud Diablotine for his great contribution to the game.
Is Diablotine in the game?
Yeah, Vesper said he was towards the bottom of the stairs.
He's having trouble
Yeah,
getting
he's
up.
in the scene.
Diablotine, will you come on up?
I'm looking. see.
I don't see Diablotine.
Or is there a different instance?
He'll be there in a second.
No, he's in the scene with us.
All right. Shouldn't panic then, I guess.
No
Hang
worries.
on, see if I see Diablotine. I think I can summon the Diablotine.
I did already.
Here it is.
He'll be in front of you in a sec.
Okay, very good. Haha, very good. Very good. Very good.
Ah, there you go.
There you go. All right. And let's see, Ravlox, do you have the item that I can then hand to Governor Diablotine?
Actually, that item has to be mailed to him or them. Sorry.
Okay. I see. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. But you could do the have them kneel down and knight them.
Yes, exactly. So Diablotine, if you're actually with us and not AFK there, I know you were summoned to the top. But if you would take a knee, that would be great. And if not, I will knight you as you stand. Very good.
Very good.
So thank you. And we will actually mail you your ONBE device as well. And,
exactly.
Both and we'll try to find a. I mean, we'll get in touch with you both for the virtual item and otherwise. So.
Right.
Oops! Whoop! I almost handed somebody a 61 cloak.
Oh, that's not good. Hey, you can't cheat. You can't go backwards. Okay, so as I had mentioned before, I know we want Sanyo up here and Devil Cult, myself. I think those are the three currently present in game. But I'll as your herald, Lord British, I will read off the names of all these. Hark and hear ye. If present, please come to the foot of Lord British's rug.
Carpet. The carpet. They're here with the carpet and with our shields.
Devicult, Sanyo, Listrostov, Beezus, Nimrod the Ionisko, Inal Nomad, Atos, Undone, Tassilo, and Ravelox.
Thank you, Ravelox, for the reading. And so, yes, for those of you who also don't know, one of the things we did at our team lunch today is the core team of developers, which has now been working, frankly, tirelessly and in many ways thankless, for years upon years now, for this world to not only come to life but remain alive. We wanted to say thank you to all of them. So we've also earlier today gave all of them an ONBE and welcomed them into the order of the New Britannian Empire. So thanks to all of you for keeping this world as alive and healthy and growing as it is. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I am proud to receive this award from the Great Lord British. I shall strive to pursue virtue as well as excellence in improving the world that you have dreamed of.
Excellent. Thank you.
I, too, pledge myself as much as I've done so far to continue with every effort that I can make to expand and maintain the lands of New Britannia.
So two of you are up in here. If I may, let me do the formal process here with the two of you as well.
I enjoy that you're a little bit off in your angle, and it looked to me, it looked like you just cut my head off.
Exactly. You never know. You never know exactly.
I pledge everything to you. Then I'll take your head.
Off with your head. Off with your head.
All I want is your head.
Yeah, let's see how the lineup works this time. Oh, still gonna be a bit off. So close.
So down just an ear.
Yeah, just took an ear off in that case. You can keep the other one. You can keep the ear. Welcome to keep the other ear.
All right, now I'm going to bring the camera back up, hopefully.
What's funny is I think I have extra Sanyo skulls on me.
I'll trade you a Lord British cloak for a Sanyo skull.
bring this back up here. Okay, now I will show you. In addition, this is something new that we'll be using, especially as we go forward, because we're running out of metals. This is a Scotty art, of course. This was designed and put together by Scotty. Each one of the members of the team received this today, and we'll be including this with the medal that we send out to Diablotine as well. One of these, and anyway,
people probably know Scotty already, but if you don't, because Scotty's one of our great artists. He does a lot of. He's done a lot of stuff. He's also done some maps, like he's done like Nightshade Pass and the Epitaph and stuff. But he does a lot of 2D art as well.
Right.
He's an all-around art guy. Does a great job.
Yeah, in game he's Nimrod in Esco, so that's his, which I'm probably butchering.
I will never be able to say that name correctly.
Yeah, Ionescu is actually how it's supposed to be done. I rushed through it. And I said it perfectly at his house when we were setting this all up.
You're a better man than I am.
Well, yeah, sometimes, but not mostly not. I'm just a mess. But anyway, so yes, thank you, Lord British, for bestowing this. This is a special honor for the team. This is normally an award that's reserved for community members, and in this case, it was above and beyond special acknowledgement for the team who has gone to great lengths to keep the game going. And
well, I was a backer before I was a team member, so the great lengths.
And so was I.
Keeping the game going, improving it.
And so was I, and he's already knighted me prior to becoming Allium for that.
That's right. Look at the puppy.
Yes, this is Delta V. We've come here to say hello.
It's a great name.
All right, so with all that said, I mean, I have a story that's not really related to Shroud, but let's see if I can put this up here.
Either. No?
Yeah, let's see if this there.
Hey,
now the audio is probably not going to come
as
through,
soon
is
as
it?
you're finished doing whatever it is that you're doing, we need
This
to
is for those of you who know Viva La Dirt League, and this is actually a message that they sent me. Of course, the audio is kind of important.
That's what I sell my audio. Yes. So come, we need you, adventurer. You need
Yeah, I don't see any way to mess with the audio, so that sucks. But they sent that private message to me because I was a donator, yeah, a supporter of their Kickstarter, and part of that was to get a personalized message from them. And sadly, without the audio, it's not as a cool thing to show off. But they called out Ravalox and said they needed me to come to Honeywood and help beat the Dragon of Schmagenrog. So I got that last night. It was like 15 minutes to midnight, right as I was wrapping everything up and getting ready to go to bed, and it was totally unexpected, and it was really fun, great to see. So.
But you've already been summoned to another world to save it. You can't do two worlds at once.
Oh, but I could be like Lord British. I visit many realms.
That's true. That's true. I endorse that. That's just take your moonstone with you so you can find your way home.
Exactly right. I like that somebody said we need a Honeywood in game. I've actually considered reaching out to them about Shroud and asking them if we could put NPCs in the game.
Garlic farmer named Greg.
Exactly right.
As well, putting in a Greg. Hello, adventurer.
Exactly. Oh, wouldn't that be so cool?
We can have a Greg.
Say skip.
Yeah, dude. And, the only thing I could think of when saying, "Well, what would I want them to say?" It would be related to Shroud, and obviously that didn't seem quite right to have them, kind of talk about our game. Anyway,
We were frozen there for a minute. Your voice was hopefully coming through, but our output was frozen there for a bit.
And I'm getting an ad.
It's just an ad.
Oh, okay. So we'll wait for the ads. Now, it's funny because our channel is set not to present ads, so that's kind of an interesting situation.
Twitch changed that. You can't not now.
Oh, so they're ignoring because we are partners on Twitch, and they have that option in there, but like you said, they must... it's social media.
All the social media platforms are trying to jockey for how to make money. So,
yeah.
Oh, well. To all of us. Oh, do it to all the rest of us who use it.
Exactly. Okay, so let me see where we are. We're still a little bit early for another Prizening, but we are getting close to that. So, guys, if you're in game, make sure to say "Happy Birthday, Lord British" in any chat. That could be a whisper, universal, local, party, whatever, zone chat. It'll work perfectly on any of those. It has to be in game.
Has to be in game.
Has to be in game. So we'll be doing another drawing in probably about 10 to 15 minutes. And then where we are now is anything else anybody has to talk about. Do we have any more Ask a Devs that anybody wants to talk about? Or we could do a Q&A directly from the Twitch stream as well.
There aren't many Ask a Devs that usually relate to me, so I'll sort of like do like a half request that if you have like quests, not necessarily wish list or feedback on existing quests, but I'm a quest guy. I'm a level designer guy, so that means like I do like puzzles, new maps, NPC dialogue, NPC names, things like that. Decorations, combat situations. If you have questions about like what was the thought process behind such and such, then that would probably be a good Ask a Dev for me.
Also, thank you for the friend requests from Darkline and Zepeth Weinemer. Thank you. We are now friends. I look forward to adventuring with you. And Dash Banjo, here is your shield. There, I have accepted the trade.
So, Belladonna, yes, I saw your Ask a Dev earlier as well, and that one, you're right, we need to do an animation for that if we're going to do it. So that may take a little bit for us to get done. What she asks is that have a more lady-friendly sitting emote for sitting on the ground, because some of the skirts don't sit right, or say skirts, so dresses, skirts, and anything like that. It doesn't quite sit right.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and there's an animation. I think we still have some discussion on, but a lot of games have. A /sit emote, right, which does do usually an Indian style, as they call it, cross-legged sitting on the ground thing. But then there's also a /sit chair where the avatar will produce a chair from nowhere and then just sit down on a stool or a chair or something along those lines. I'd like to see that happen. I guess we still would have to discuss that possibility. So I'm at risk of saying something out here in the open, but if we could get that done, I think I would be happy with that, because at least that would afford some better opportunities for sitting, out in the wilderness without having to actually sit on the ground.
Yeah.
Another one, Nerthus. Please don't use Ask a Dev for things that are bug reports. If the short medieval shirt is clipping badly in inappropriate ways, make a bug report.
Yes, please.
Right, definitely. To me, that's the easiest sort of division right there between what is Ask a Dev and what's not good for Ask a Dev. It's like if something seems broken, then definitely you gotta submit it. Or even if it doesn't seem broken, if it just seems like something was made wrong with it. So you might say like, why is the blacksmith at the tailoring shop? That's kind of broken. So you can report that as a bug as well.
No, Owsley is saying that the conversational emotes were broken with a prior release. When I tested them on QA for the increase of the character length, they were working. I
believe that some work and some don't. It depends on only the humanoid figures have the full set of emotes set up.
Gotcha.
If
right, and that would make sense.
Something with a dragon, just doesn't gonna know what to do.
Right. Yeah. Gotcha. And it would, I guess it would kind of make sense that the script is just going to basically ignore it. It's not going to print up an error or anything like that. So if that's what it is, then that would be expected behavior. But if there are any emotes that aren't working, ones that use objects don't work. Oh, read book and things like that. Okay. Well, again, if we don't already have a forum post on that, if you could, put up, some detail and things along those lines, maybe with a short example script, and then which conversationalist you're using. That way we could try to duplicate it, verify it, and then we'll take a look at it, see if we can fix it. Okay, Gwendolyn's given some more details of what might be going on there. So, yeah, definitely that's all forum-related stuff. Do a bug report in the forums, and we'll find out if we could find what the issue is on those things.
Gebo Ranlong, yes, I hope Rains does not show up either. Rains is not allowed in my worlds anymore. I will find Rains someday. After all these years, it's been, 97, 79, excuse me, 97 to 07 to 17, and +5. So 25 years ago.
Yep, 25.
25 years ago, Rains killed me at the end of the Ultima Online beta, and I have never been avenged. I've never even met Rains. We know it was Rains. We looked up in the logs. But Rains disappeared into the ether. I've heard rumor every now and then about somebody who claims they've met or knew the actual Rains, but no Rains ever shows up.
But you're never gonna be avenged if he's not allowed in your worlds.
I'll find him in his world, in this world. But it is interesting. Some of you might know on Twitter. I had a Twitter success the other day, which is I was going through my letters from the very first publication of a Calabeth, where at the very end, when somebody finishes it, it says, "Report your feat to Lord British." And the very first letter I ever received was sent in to originally California Pacific, but eventually forwarded to me. So my very first report your feat, I actually tracked that person down through Twitter. So I now at least know who they are.
Was it Rains?
It was not Rains. It did make me think of it.
That would have been a nice circle if he
That would have been a very good circle, but no, it was not Rains.
Then became the deadly stalker.
Gotcha. All right, so
his name is Paul Rogers from England.
Nice. Good job, Paul.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Paul Rogers was also the name of, I believe, somebody, was it Foreigner? In the lead singer of a band?
Oh, could be. I know Foreigner. I don't remember their name of their people, but yeah.
Okay, so let me see. Somebody was asking. This goes a while back, I think. Yes. Could we add the ability to add inky scripts to placeable pets? We don't have any plans at this time to advance the inky scripts into existing deco pets or combat pets. Into different classifications. So there actually is limitations right now when you, we shouldn't say right now, but there's limitations where if you have a conversationalist, it has to be placed on a player's lot. I think deco pets can be placed on their land. Is that right, Allium, or no?
No, there are animal spawners that can go on pod land.
That's right, the animal spawners.
More restricted.
Yeah. Gotcha. So it's a permissions problem. There's a different permissions tree in the player in town area that's not part of a player lot in the player lot. So that causes a conflict. So we don't do that. So anything that's following you around, can't be a conversationalist. It would actually change the nature of that NPC. So we'd have to create a whole subset or duplicate line of pets that would be conversationalists. And I mean, dragons are intelligent, so obviously they could be conversationalists because in theory dragons can technically speak. But I don't.
There is one in game who speaks, and there are several others that have names.
Yes, there you go.
The blue dragon in Boreas.
Right,
Yeah,
and so other than that, I think we were kind of staying away from making things into conversationalists that were, not sentient per se, right? But anyway, there was that, and then there was this kind of dovetails into another thing that was being asked, something about adding some buffs that are normally on combat pets onto deco pets, but that would make them into combat pets. So no, I don't think that we're going to be doing that either. Deco pets are specifically for that purpose. So again, if we were going to do something like that, we'd really just make another version of that pet to be a combat pet. But we're also talking about the examples that were brought up, I believe, in the forum posts were some pretty small, although they might be fierce in battle, they probably still wouldn't last very long as far as the practical sense.
Shooting down my dream of battle sheep.
Yeah, kind of. Sorry. Yeah, I mean the examples, of course, were for some of the smaller type of pets, but. Again, it's a matter of whether or not we can't convert deco pets into, give them skills, but it doesn't mean that we can't create a battle pet version of it down the road.
Here's one. Osley asks, can we have a search all containers option?
Oh, that would be nice. In fact,
the GM
go ahead.
refund.
Yes, we've been talking about that off and on. Never really got to have an official conversation about it. And of course, this would all be double cult to get it done. But we have, as most players, well, I shouldn't say most players, but any player who's actually lost an item knows that we could log on, impersonate your character, get into your account, and then we have extra menu options, and one of them is GM Find. So we could actually type in a string and it looks through all your containers. And when I say container, I don't mean boxes, I mean database containers. So it'll tell you where a thing is, even if it's on another lot or whatever. So we would have to look into what we would need to do to make that safe and make it work properly for a player. But for a long time, even before I was on the team, I was really looking. This has been one of my agenda items. I'd like to get that out there because it just makes sense. I mean, I dare say dare I say that I have even more advanced ideas and hopes that would allow a player to be able to peruse their inventory in other ways. But I will not go into the details of that because I highly doubt that we have the resources or ability to get that done. And also maintain security. So I think that most of you guys would know what I'm talking about from my.uo.com was the original purpose behind it. So I won't say anything more because I don't want to make any promises.
That would also, since it's a huge database hit every time you run that search, have to be on a time or cooldown the same way using the property manager is.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So, like you said, this will require some discussion, but I think the GM Find is definitely something that we could figure out a way to make that available to players. It would reduce support calls and overall be a huge quality of life change.
So when's the next Prizening happening?
Actually, right now. I'm going to go generate it right now.
Excellent. While you're generating, I'm going to go grab myself a soda pop from the downstairs refrigerator. I will be right back.
Okie dokie. Okay. One going.
What's next up? What are we looking forward to in this?
Well, at this point, we could start going adventuring. I think we've touched on all the other items that need to be touched on.
We've got a group doing the top rise room right now.
I'm going to move to one side, and I'll let people know if they didn't get one of the Lord British 62 shield items, they can come find me, and I'll give them one. I'm still in Castellatos. I'm to one side of the Lord British rug. I'm gonna start doing some juggling emotes. Hopefully, people will be able to see me. Maybe everyone's got the shield already. But if you haven't got the shield, like I said, come look for me. We'll do the swap.
Yep.
Do the trade.
To get and if you haven't gotten the shield at this point, please do try to get it now. Once the stream is over, those shields are locked. We will not be giving out any more after that.
So that if I have extras in my inventory, I'll just delete them all.
Yes, sir.
You got it.
Yeah. Or keep one for yourself, of course.
Who wants a Lord British? Oh, I mean, I love the Lord British shield. It's too late. I already got my certificate.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but your medal's gonna get mysteriously lost in the rail.
Exactly. The King's mail is not always that reliable.
Okay, we have Prizenings if we want to do that. Who wants
Angelique
to...
Valley?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I'm answering in voice something that should be in text. Don't mind me.
Oh, all right, no problem.
Go for it. Go for the Prizening.
How do I get a shield?
Gotcha. Okay.
You can come. So initiate the trade with me, people. I won't assume that you want a shield just because you're standing next to me. Whoops. There you go. Sometimes it takes a while, by the way. There's so much going on that it slows the trade process and sometimes cancels out some windows. So there's been some errors because there's just so much going on. But if you could be a little bit patient, just I'm happy to give them out to everyone who comes over.
Right.
And each trade does take a while, Richard. You would have been there still doing trades, I think. If you didn't invest those.
Yep.
A lot of them. Okay, who wants to do the thing? Or I could read both of them if everybody, because I know Sanyo's busy. Or Allium, do you still want to split on this?
I'm sorry, I'm multitasking. What was that?
Get Vesper to work.
Not a problem. Yeah, Vesper, you want to read off names, or you said you were actively in the Rise?
I can do it.
Okay, all right. So which one do you want to do, names or prizes?
Names.
Okay. All right, so I'll read off the prizes. Okay, so here's the prizing for this hour. And the Lord British Round Shield goes to...
Shady Death and Tianzi.
And we have a Lord British Medium Telescope, which goes to...
Elwyn Moon and Gemma Star.
Excellent. And a Lord British Throne.
Stein and Denna Merchant.
Then a Lord British Moondial.
Belladonna Rose and Chatul Adventure.
Okay, good. Lord British Birthday Cake 2014 edition, the first one.
Laned and Ismodi.
There you go. Congratulations to all the players.
And a thank you for the friend request from Angelique Del Valle.
Oh, I'm covering up things using O's. Back here. And
There's
it really is. This really is hard with one monitor, let me tell you.
Laz, good to see you, sir.
This is where I want to be.
Can we bring back Minax? Oh no, she's been gone a long time.
Okay, so yeah, that's true. So of course, just to address that on a more real world level, of course, there's competing IP, things that are owned, sadly, still owned by EA. We cannot, we can't bring into the game, though there might be in the future some vague references to some familiar personalities that the players may be able to sort out who it is. But yeah, we will definitely avoid bringing those in. And then going back more into the canon and lore aspect of things, as Lord British may be the better one to give details on this. There was a cataclysm, which brings us into this, and the lands were renamed to New Britannia because the world was basically reformed after the cataclysm. So
that is true, and yes, it's more better. That's not the right way to. That's not good English, but
more betterer.
More betterer. Yes, no. New Britannia is not Britannia. New Britannia lore is not Old Britannian lore, but Lord British. It's because that is personal intellectual property. Excuse me. Lord British transcends both, but they're technically separated by the cataclysm. So we keep as much separate as possible. Fortunately, not only is Lord British me, but so were a lot of the main companions. Those are actual real people. And so the companions, those individuals, also have come across as themselves here to the new world. And so we do have a solid basis of continuity, but we're very careful to avoid anything that could cause legal trouble.
And also, if you're just looking for big name bad guys, we'll make sure to add those in with the upcoming big storylines, and hopefully they scratch a little bit of that itch.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second. I have to. Do this. Okay. We have another person. Another one of the dev team members trying to join in, and I'm not seeing the request to join.
All right, other developers. Who has your Shroud of the Avatar coin on them?
Oh yeah, I got mine.
I
pull it out.
my desk.
I don't know which one you want. I have them all. Currently, the one I'm holding is my.
There, I heard
one,
that.
Which is
Okay.
I got mine.
Awesome.
There we go.
Good job. I was also noticing, since a lot of the characters in my games have come from the SCA, the Society of Creative Anachronism friends I have, in my desk here in front of me, I also have like coins from. This is the Barony of Bjornsburg down in southeast Texas. I'm trying to read this little tiny one. I can't read on it, but it's another hand minted coin from another barony down here in the south, but I just sure can't read it.
I also have several of these, Richard. I don't think you'll be able to see it. It's a great job coin that you used to have.
Oh yeah,
that's
office. Right. Yeah, I remember I used to punch holes in them. I still owe you.
I have 6 of them, my friend. Come forward for payment soon.
I know.
There you go.
I owe you a debt.
Vesper's got his coins.
Look at the pile Vesper has. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, just to step back for 1 second, because there was a question that was asked, and actually Merrick answered it directly, whether UO was before or after Shroud in the timeline. So it actually goes from Caesarea, which was Ultima 1, and then after Lord British actually took control of the planet, I guess, it was renamed to Britannia, and that goes all the way through to Ultima 9 and UO. So,
if I may,
yep.
The slightly inaccurate there. So,
okay.
So Ultima Online comes immediately after Ultima 1. And so
that's right.
Even though the game came out much later, the Shard of Immortality, which is the Gem of Immortality, which was busted into shards, created the copies of Caesarea, which became the map and the world of Ultima Online, ultimately. And so so it was a splinter at that moment. So the players of Ultima Online didn't live through, so to speak, the rest of the stories of Ultima 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc.
Right.
Some of those elements did come into the
of course. Because the canon's not really kept that canon, but
it did follow the single player game storyline for sure, but some of the characters and
but the actual splitting of the world, the splitting of the worlds happened at the time of Ultima 1. They were independently but parallel evolutions.
Nice. Right. That's good. I wasn't actually sure. I remember, I was a community guy in Ultima Online, so I was intimate with like some of the backstory bits, but I guess I was never clear on exactly when the shards, when the in-game history of Ultima Online actually started.
Right. And would it be correct to say that Shroud of the Avatar's world is technically one of those shards created? The Cataclysm was at the same time, or was that later?
Well, they are not actually connected, but hypothetically, you could at least imagine that the end of Ultima 9 involved the pillars that the Guardian had plunged into Britannia, that were dragging, those pillars were being dragged through the continents in order to destroy Britannia. And the Avatar in Ultima 9 ultimately stopped those by sacrificing himself and destroying the Guardian, and with that the columns went away. But as a hypothetical, you could at least imagine that the orbit of those moons would now be disturbed. And so our world starts with a moon in Cataclysm. And so you at least could imagine that those moons, Tremel and Feluca, had they existed in our history, could have collided and created the destruction you see in the sky now.
So you could argue, I guess you can argue a bunch of different ways, but you can argue that there's an intersection of historic events or similarity of historic events that may or may not be
correct. Yeah, just similarities.
Because who really knows? We don't have documentation.
It's Lord British travels from world to world, and they all have, just like the worlds which Lord British visits. For those of you who are old enough to remember the deep dark past, as you started to mention there, Ravlox, Ultima 1 was in Caesarea, which is based on a Dungeons and Dragons world that I had created. Ultima 2, because I wanted time travel, the map became Earth, and there was some relevance to like the continent of Pangaea, or the aspects of futuristic spaceflight versus medieval history. Needed a map that could be modified and that you would still recognize, so that's why I chose Earth. Then Ultima 3 went back to a modified form of Caesarea, with no explanation as to why those three had taken place. In those first three games, frankly, I didn't know there was going to be another game. When I wrote a Calibeth, it wasn't even meant to be published. The Ultima 1 was the first game I meant to be published. There was only an Ultima 2 because there was a demand for an Ultima 2 after I finished Ultima 1. And then finally with Ultima 3 is Things of My Own. And you might remember, again, the elders in the group will remember, a Calibeth had literally Balrogs in it from, Lord of the Rings. And whether it's monsters or names of places or things.
Might need to pause for a second. We're getting in that again.
Oh, we're getting a stall. I'm actually seeing the stream still going, so it looks like we're.
Other people in chat are saying it's interrupted.
Ah, they got an ad. I see some people are seeing an ad. Ah,
I don't even have an ad. To me, it's just done. It says follow our live streams.
Yeah, well, I'll still continue because I can see it still operating on mine. So I think you have some people still seeing it. But again, those first 4 games were only related to each other after I kind of looked back and said, where did I leave off? Starting with Ultima 4, I at least started by saying, hey, let me get rid of all the things that are inventions, other modern inventions of other creators. So I specifically got rid of things like Balrogs, which belong to Tolkien. And while I was willing to keep some things like elves, because that is a traditional human
historic and mythological.
Exactly. So I'm happy to keep things that fit that category. But I even removed a lot of that. I really started focusing on New Britannia, or Britannia in that case, and things that we had invented ourselves, either that I'd already invented by chance during the first 3 Ultimas, or that I then on the spot started to invent with the virtues and the creatures and things that began to become part of the truly canon game, which really starts with Ultima 4 and then continued from there.
I had a question for you. So the virtues actually became a big thing around this point that you're talking about, when you're sort of trying to lock in what makes these stories unique. What made you think to put the virtues in, and how did you end up constructing them? Because they, it's like 3 principles become 8 virtues.
Well, so what's interesting about that is the Ultima 3 was Origin's first game. And even though just a minute ago I was talking about how I did receive a report thy feet letter as far back as a Calabeth, I pretty much got none of those letters. Anybody that wrote a letter to either California Pacific or eventually or Sierra for Ultima 2, those letters were generally kept by their customer service. And if they were ever responded to at all, I have no idea. It was really only Ultima 3 where suddenly we got to see the letters that people would write in. And it was fascinating to see what those letters looked like, because they still today look a lot like they did back then, which is usually when somebody bothers to write in, especially in the form of a letter before texts and tweets and things. It was always one paragraph of, hey, I like the game, and then paragraphs at least, and if not pages of, let me tell you what you did wrong. So let me tell you what I did not like about your game. And then also some about the ways they would play the game. And that's the part that I really found the most shocking, is because people would go, hey, I had fun playing Ultima 2 or 3, but the way I really enjoyed playing it is I would go around and kill everyone. I would steal from every shop. I would kill every character, and I had the most fun killing your character, Lord British. And so as I thought about that, I was sitting there going like, wow, I've just created 3 games in a row where the whole story is to kill the bad guy. The bad guy's not doing anything to be considered bad. They're just waiting for you in the final level. And instead, what I've created is the best way to min-max the game or have fun in the game is to be a bad guy, basically. You're supposed to be the hero, but you're really acting like a bad guy.
And even still, most sort of role-playing games, you just a big murderer?
That's exactly right. It's still the case. Is generally everybody's morally ambiguous at best. They're generally pretty negative. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to write a game about ethics and virtues. And then I said, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, what ethics or virtues am I going to put in the game? And you go like, well, okay, well, what systems of ethics exist in the modern world? And of course, you could say things like, well, I want to do, one good one might be the 10 Commandments. And I'm going like, well, I looked at, go glance at the 10 Commandments, going like, I don't want to write a game about the 10 Commandments. That's would be disingenuous. I don't really, it wouldn't be right for me.
Yeah.
So then I also said, well, what else is there? So you're going like, you could do the 7 deadly sins, but that's sort of for scary movies. It's not a positive aspiration. I couldn't even flip them and make them positive aspirations.
Yeah.
And so then I said, well, I need to go read. So I started looking up like all these Greek or Roman utopian, idealistic, moral systems of what they saw as their future. And frankly, I would argue most of those did not age well. They were still way too much an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth kind of, pretty mean-spirited stuff that I didn't really believe in. And then I said, wow, I've really got to go learn a lot more. So I started reading. I read every biblical or every religious text I could, from Christian texts to Mormon texts, Jewish texts, Muslim texts, Hindu texts, Buddhist texts. And I realized after all this reading, I said, you know what? I don't want any of them. None of those are the things I'm going to build a game around. And so I said, okay, I'm going to have to go invent my own damn virtue system. And I was going like, that sucks, because I was a terrible history student. I don't even think I ever took a philosophy class. And so I went and I just bought even more books. And so I started really digging in. And back at the old early Origin office, that was my parents' garage, I took a big wall and I started going through all these books that I'd been highlighting things in. And I said, okay, love. Love's a good thing. I wrote love on a Post-it note and I put it above the center line of this wall. Love. Oh, that's a good one. Hate. Oh, that's bad. That motivates you to do hate, motivates you to do bad things. And it's sort of the opposite of love. So I'm going to put it directly below the line below love. And then I would find like the word compassion. I go like, compassion, that's kind of a lot like love. It's not the same word, obviously, but it's similar. And, so I began to put all these words up that motivated people to do good things or bad things. And I was just reading things and collecting quotes and collecting words until I began to see a pattern emerge out of it. And the first pattern I saw emerge were actually the 3 principles of truth, love, and courage. And what I noticed about when I saw these 3 principles, truth, love, and courage, is that almost everything else I saw on the board, I could at least imagine in my mind's eye were combinations of those 3 principles, truth, love, and courage. And so, for example, I mentioned that I didn't support the eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. The code of Hammurabi, if you get caught stealing, they cut off your hand. And in some sense, the word, you might be able to describe that as justice during some period of time. But in my mind, if the person who stole food is starving, you sure as hell ought to have a little more compassion for them than just purely cut off their hand for stealing some food. And so to me, justice was truth, the truth of did you steal or not, were you honest or not, tempered by love or compassion to show, hey, I understand the circumstance you were in that motivated you that. So to be a just response to that is more nuanced than these ancient codes that I had read about. And so for everything else I could imagine on the board, I went like pretty much everything became more and more complex, either positive or negative combinations of these or missing attributes in more and more complex flavors. And so I started with those 3, truth, love, and courage. I ultimately created the 8, honesty, compassion, valor, justice, sacrifice, honor, spirituality, humility, came up with their opposites. And then I started filling the world with quotes to back these up. And I literally ripped those quotes off. I mean, so I was, whether they came out of the Bible or, the Quran or wherever I got them out of, I would use the name of whoever said it, mutate it a little bit, but then try to honor whoever made that quote that inspired me to think of that word was important to include within the context of the virtues. And what was interesting about this is you can tell I like telling the story. And I felt immediately that I was onto something important. But that's not what anybody around me felt. So I was still doing this largely alone. So Ultima 1, 2, 3, and 4, I wrote basically on my own. I had a little bit of help on some coding bits or other kind of bits around the edges, but fundamentally I was working alone. And so when I would show Ultima 4 to my friends and family that were part of early Origin, they all thought I was making a terrible, terrible mistake. The feedback was literally from like my mother, my father, and my brother, and anybody around me in the office. They were going, Richard, you have this stack of letters where everyone is telling you that the way they enjoy playing your game is to kill all your villagers, to steal from all your shops. And what you're about to do is make a game where the thing they're telling you they love is going to make them not win. And I said, yep, that's exactly what I'm planning to do.
So the game was early enough that there were there other games at the same time that were basically doing the same thing?
No, not at all.
Because I don't remember like the timeline of I don't know when like the first
no. The only games
came out or whatever.
No, the only other games that were out at this time were Wizardry, Bard's Tale, Might and Magic, and the early versions of those. Wizardry, Bard's Tale, Might and Magic versions 1, 2, and 3 were in the same period. But those were all still Go Kill the Evil Wizard games. They were all, basically everybody still, but especially everybody then was doing Go Kill the Evil Wizard. And
even when you have a quest like you're the good guy, go do the right thing and murder people along the way to get it done.
Well, because everybody's min-maxing. I mean, that's one of the lessons of especially online games like we're all in right now today. Right. Is as you Keith, on this call, you have been talking about how you have or intend to turn up the spawn rate or value of a couple things at the very beginning. I don't remember what it was you were talking about. You were talking about the value of trading in some object, and you moved it from it's worth 2 gold or 2 points
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But because as you know, as soon as you make a little change in the min-max reward cycle, every one of the players immediately adjust their behavior to do the optimal min-max path.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And so whatever path you incentivize, that's exactly what people will do. And so that's, when you think about the real world too, it's fascinating that, you think about good and evil and, human compassion I was reading an article today about, somebody making the case for, how long ago, 5 or 10,000 years ago, humanoids first began to support each other. Like when somebody got a broken leg, even before we grew plants or built houses, you would take that member of your extended family, and you would protect them from the wolves, and you'd feed them even though they couldn't forage for themselves. And that was one of the first examples of what we might call civilization. But it's still just as easy to think of that as you're still min-maxing your own survival, because the stronger your clan is, the better you can hold up against monster or wolves or predators or opposing clans. And so you want to keep everyone as healthy as possible, even if it keep you the real world. I believe compassion is also rational, and so it does not require fundamentally altruism. No one is purposely going to make their own life miserable for no purpose whatsoever other than to make sure other people's lives are not miserable. Everyone, even providing some compassion, gets something out of it. They either get a friend, or they help their own clan, or they help their own species, they help their own, their community, whatever it might be. And so, and the reason we have, the reason why laws and other things are helpful is, one of the reasons I don't walk up right now to Diablotine, who still looks AFK out there in front of me. One of the reasons that in the real world I wouldn't go up and punch him is because in the real world he might punch me back, or in the real world the police might come haul me off. But as soon as you're online, we begin to get this level of anonymity where you care less about it, and especially if we were spoofing and playing in another alternate character, then we would even be more predisposed, more willing to do bad behavior. And so games have to work hard to provide feedback that is not meant to stifle individual play. It's meant to give you the right min-max rewards. Justin, who's your puppy there?
That is Oswald.
Oh, Oswald, it's nice to see you. Delta's asleep on the floor behind me, so I can't pull her up right now. But
so the part of the reason why
we can't hear you.
But anyway, you get the idea on my stuff there. Back to you, Keith.
So part of the reason why I love the virtues is not just because it's sort of I like it because it's a combination of like sort of aspirational goals, philosophies, and that is easy. Your interpretation of the word honesty and my interpretation probably super similar, and so if we both strive to be honest, it'll work. But it's also in this sort of fantasy world stuff that we have. It sort of reminds you of like a knightly code of behavior. Besides just, but it's one that the common man can also pursue. But it's also something I love about the structure of it. That to me, it's sort of like on the level of like the 3 laws of robotics. How it's just sort of like a simple, understandable, universal quality to it that people can sort of grab. And
there was an interesting inspiration that I don't tell this story very often. It's trickier to hold in a group. But I'm gonna ask the people on video here to participate in the following story. I'm gonna tell a very short story that involves 5 characters, and what each of you are gonna have to do, the other 5 of you on the video call, is you have to tell me who is the most despicable person in this story. Who's the worst? No, I'm not in the story. I'm telling the story. Okay, so here's the story. And by the way, my oldest brother Randy told me this story. And you know the tarot cards in the beginning of Ultima 4, you have to do these virtue tests where you start with 8 virtues, you do 4 questions, then 2 questions, and 1 more question, and that structures your virtues through your character. But this is the story that inspired that. And my version of the story is using the characters Popeye, Olive Oil, Brutus, Sweet Pea, and Wimpy. Okay, so in this story, there's a river that separates where Popeye lives and Olive Oil lives, but they love each other dearly and they really want to get together, but there's a raging, deadly river between them, so they can't reach each other. And so Olive Oil, who really wants to get over the river and see Popeye, goes to the first person she can think of on her side of the river with a boat, and that's Brutus, and says, Brutus, I love Popeye. Popeye loves me. I need to get across the river. Will you take me across in your boat? And Brutus says, sure, I'll take you across my boat, but you have to sleep with me first. And so Olive Oil goes, no, thank you. No, thanks. I'm not going to do that. So she goes to the only other person on this side of the river with a boat, and that's Wimpy. And Wimpy, I'm in love with Popeye. Popeye loves me. I want to get across. Ask Brutus, but he demands that I sleep with him before he'll take me across. Please, I hope you will take me across the river. And Wimpy goes, no. I'm not going to get involved. This is not my problem. I'm sorry. I'm not going to help. So now I was like, well, shoot, what do I do? Those are the only 2 people on my side of the river with a boat. So you're like, well, I really want to see Popeye, so I'm going to give in to Brutus. So she does. She goes and she sleeps with Brutus. Then Brutus, being a man of his word, he takes her across the river and delivers her to Popeye's side of the river. So Olive Oil goes to see Popeye and says, Popeye, my love, I finally made it over here to see you. By the way, I have to tell you what I had to do here. Brutus demanded, and I eventually gave in to sleeping with him before I could come across here to see you. And Popeye goes, oh, you shameless hussy. I never want to see you again. I no longer love you. We're done. And so Olive Oil is, of course, crushed. And she goes, she's just super sad. She goes to see the only other person in the story. She goes to see Sweet Pea, and she tells Sweet Pea this story. And Sweet Pea goes, Popeye is such an asshole. I'm going to go beat him up. And so Sweet Pea goes and beats up Popeye.
Classic Sweet Pea.
Okay, that is the whole story. So the question for you, starting with Vesper, who is the worst person in the story? Who did the worst thing in the story?
Wimpy in action.
In action for Wimpy. Okay, Allium?
Olive Oil. She did whatever she needed to get what she wanted without deciding whether or not the price was worth it.
So you think Olive Oil was the worst? Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. And Keith?
I agree that Olive Oil was the one she...
And Justin?
I'm with Allie for sure.
And Stephen?
I think Brutus for putting her in that position.
Okay. So what's interesting about this, and if I went around and asked you who you thought was, by the way, Olive Oil is usually seen as the worst, especially by women, and statistically, as I asked this question. But it's fascinating to see how different people, like some people go, yeah, Wimpy's the only guy, Sweet Pea is the only person who did something good by going to beating up Popeye. He took action and defeated a bad guy, so to speak. And so they actually like that's a positive for some people. But and a lot of people, some people are really against Brutus because of what he demanded. Others have said things like, look, he put a price out there. He was very clear about what he wanted. He took her across. Olive Oil could have found some other way. He just was very clear about his objectives, and and so there's nothing morally wrong with that. And so it's fascinating that even that little simple story splits so many people into having pretty strongly, it's fascinating to see people's moral compasses get exposed by the answer to that question. And so I went and I said, okay, well, that's what set me off on finding these small ethical parable comparisons that I could then create stories around to bifurcate, activity and challenges within the game.
You could
But you
also
need. Sorry. Go ahead.
You could also accuse Popeye of inaction. I mean, while Nala's olive oil was running around trying anything she could to get across the river, what was he doing?
Yeah, and we don't know. So, but the point is, there's no more you know to the story than that. But it's it's a fair.
But his feelings are his
analysis.
feelings, I would say. So he's allowed to feel however he wants. So that Sweet Pea for me is the number 2 bad guy because he is trying to deny Popeye the feelings.
Yeah.
Violence.
But it's fascinating.
Trying to argue with him. That's a good story. I like it.
Yeah, but those are really sort of the foundations of real Ultima, starting with Ultima 4.
And then you also didn't just sort of have like a sort of lip service philosophy system. You sort of started coding in stuff to make sure that you can do honest things. You can do dishonest things.
Well, in fact, I very specifically I set traps. Because I knew people would be trying to min-max and take advantage. Yeah. So I purposely put places you could take advantage of the game in the game.
Yeah.
But I put traps into it where the game would know you were cheating or lying or stealing, and it wouldn't try to stop you, and it wouldn't tell you you've made the wrong choice at that moment.
Yeah.
It would let you sort of build up a street cred of behavior of basically I ran karma meters in all those different categories.
Yeah.
Never exposing to you how the karma was raised or lowered. Because what I quickly noticed, even as I was writing the game, is if people believe they're being judged, they pay attention to what they're doing, even if they're not actually being judged. And so what I mean by that is like, it's really hard to know if someone's being brave versus stupid. Or are they running away because they're a coward, or because they really will die?
Or even are they bored and just sort of like doing any dumb old thing?
Correct.
So I'm about to log out for the night. Let me just do something stupid.
Exactly. And so those are very hard to actually test well. So what's important about it is to make you believe it's being tested, because that way what you'll do is you'll think about it before you just go kill things or abandoned. Like if you were running by and you saw some orcs eating a child, then you might go, wow, if I just run by, I might be dinged for being a coward, and so I'd better go face them. But if it's a dragon, then do I face it? Or if I don't, am I going to be seen as a coward? Or is discretion the better part of valor? And so the point is you make people think about it. And so that was really the goal. The goal wasn't to make a statement that one is or isn't the right virtuous thing to do.
Yeah.
The point was to make you think about, I'm trying to be the good guy here. I'm trying to actually be helpful. I'm trying to demonstrate virtue. How can I best do that?
Yeah, it's good hooks for designers, I think, too. It's sort of anything that sort of helps give direction. That's not just sort of like anything goes is great for any story.
Yeah.
And from a game designer and mechanics standpoint,
and
it sort of helps you focus on the things that are most interesting for that.
And for those who didn't live through it, Ultima 4 was very black and white, right? All the you once you sort of learned you're being managed and monitored, then as long as you mind your P's and Q's and you always do the virtuous thing and avoid the things that are clearly bad, unvirtuous, you could get through and get your meters all up. So for Ultima 5, I wanted to make sure I wanted to become more sophisticated in the way I told the tale. And I said, there are people in the real world, like I will argue most television evangelists. My personal opinion of most television evangelists is they're here to make money. And I have personal doubt about the authenticity of many of them as to the purpose of their espousing of virtues and the way they use virtue to enrich themselves or for other forms of power. And because I think that the real world is full of that. Now, that's not just in TV evangelists. I would argue we have a lot of politicians who are that way too. So the real world is full of nuances that go beyond simple good and evil. And so what I started doing after Ultima 4 is I started doing things like having characters that would say, hey, I'm here to help. And they would appear to be doing all they could to help, but are really just passing on your details to the bad guys the whole time. Or there's a bad guy who, grew up on the streets and steals food and money because that's all he's ever known, but they really have a heart of gold. And so in the end, when push comes to shove and it's important to make the right call, they're really the ally you're going to need at the very end, if you know what I mean. And so I try to add a lot more of that subtlety. And I also tried to add in things where, like, the bad guys, instead of just waiting around for you to kill them, that the bad guys should be trying to not only catch you, but catch anybody helping you. Yeah. And so I started doing things like, if you would go convince a townsperson to spy for you or to give you information or to help you, I would find a point in the story where anybody that was helping you would be killed by the bad guy. And that way you would, first of all, feel guilty that you've somehow managed to get this person killed, but also, really start now thinking even harder about, wow, how do you navigate a world that has this level of danger? And it makes you really think the bad guys are now just not waiting for you at the end. They're actually doing bad things, making them worthy of you considering them the bad guy. And so I tried to really deepen in all these directions simultaneously. But that was all in the solo player games. It was all really before we went online, where this is a lot harder to do in an online setting like we're all in right now.
Especially when sometimes we can have like solo areas that sort of change if you come back, depending upon the actions you did the first time you were through. But if we have like a big open area that anyone can walk in and out, we're limited as to how much change, visible change we can have. In the episode 2 stuff, I'm trying to sort of fiddle with that a little bit. So like if you go into Port Harmony, there's two different things that can change a little bit. There's some flowers that appear in planters if you have hit a certain number of quests. So the place is beautifying itself because you are participating in the area. And then eventually, when I have like a main storyline in, when you hit the a certain main storyline milestone, then these sort of like virtue banners will start to appear around the city to show that there's a different level of achievement going on. But the problem is I can't make it critical to mention that as part of the storyline. It just sort of has to happen because it's going to be quest flag triggered. So if you have done all the great things and I haven't, and we both go into town, all these things are going to pop up because you or people like you have triggered it because of your quest flags. But then if you leave after a little bit, it'll sort of downgrade so that I see the less advanced version of the town. So there's little things like that that'll change. And there'll be like newspapers that when you pick it up, if you're early in the storyline, it'll be the early version of the newspaper. Later on, it'll sort of mention that you've done this great deed. Like, the avatars, routed the bad guys at the battle of whatever, that kind of thing. So I want the world to feel like it's changed, but I have to be careful about how much is displayed. So
I agree.
Sometimes it can get a bit tricky, though. For instance, the first time that Allie ran through Artifice, she got to the cage with all the trapped children and the floor plate in front of it that would trigger
Spoiler.
Yes. And I noticed the floor plate, and I figured, oh, that's clever. If you're a bad guy with your hands full of squirming child, you don't have a hand free to open the door, so they put that floor plate there that will open the door. Let me just step onto it and go through.
So do you know the history of this room?
No.
The room has been changed, by the way. I changed the room a little bit.
But let me tell you the history of this.
Yeah.
This also goes back to Ultima 4. So I already mentioned how in Ultima 4, what was important, I put in as many virtue tests as I could, but I also put in the illusion of a test because as far as the player knew, it was a test. And that was good enough to make them think, because the whole point was to make you think. And so in the final room, the final dungeon that had a series of rooms, there's actually no test. This whole dungeon, in fact, no dungeon room in Ultima 4 had any test in it that I can think of. And but what we did is, you're designing things that you're hoping people will, in their mind's eye, think of as a test. Like I made one room where I knew that by the time you came here, you would have one party member of each player type of character type. So you'd have one fighter, one cleric, one mage, one paladin, one ranger, one shepherd, whatever. And so what I put on the other side of the room was basically a doppelganger group. You put in one fighter, one mage, one whatever else. And so when the room started, I knew, or I hoped, the player would, they're really just monsters. As far as I was concerned, they were literally just monsters. The code only knew they were monsters. But I thought that the player would at least pause and go like, do I kill them? Do I not? What's the morally right thing to do here? But I just went on and made the next room. I didn't really care what they thought. I just moved on. And so I put one room late in that dungeon in Ultima 4. I put a room where there were cages in the corners of the room with children in it. And in the very center of the room was a lever. And you could walk in or out of the room, out of the north, south, east, or west, without any obstruction. But I knew that a lot of players would come in and go like, oh, the poor children, I better pull the lever and maybe release them. But when you pull the lever, it does release them. But in fact, they were monsters. There was no ability for you to put any NPCs in a dungeon room in Ultima 4. Anything that was alive in those rooms was a monster. And so as soon as you pull the lever, the monsters start attacking you, the children start attacking you from all sides. So they're surrounding you. And so I knew at that point it would be very hard for you to run out of the room because you'd be surrounded. And I thought, ha, 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 I've now created a new moral dilemma for the player because I have no idea really how they'll get out of this room. But it didn't really matter because those are monsters. And so they went on to make the next room, the next room, the next room. So the game is in QA just before release. And one of our QA testers writes a letter to my brother, Robert, who's the president of the company. And he comes to me and he shows me this letter and goes, Richard, what is up with Ultima 4? We have to fix this. And the letter basically said, I refuse to work for a company that so clearly supports child abuse. And Robert comes to me and goes like, Richard, what the hell did you put in the game? And I'm going like, I have no idea what this guy is talking about. I really have no idea. So we'll have to go talk to the player, the QA person. So we go talk to the QA person, and he says it's that room, the room where you pull the lever and the monsters that look like children swarm around you. And because you had to kill them in his mind's eye, he thought that was child abuse. And my brother says, Richard, you have to take it out of the game or we are not publishing it. And I'm going like, screw you, brother Robert, and rest of company. I said, that is the best endorsement I've ever heard for a design. First of all, you don't have to kill them because you could first don't pull the lever. Second, you could put them to sleep and then walk out. Third, you could charm them. They would walk away. You could walk out. Third, you could put down your weapon, punch them with your open hand. As soon as they go below half hit points, they will run away and then you can escape the room. Or they're freaking monsters, kill them and leave the room. And so I'm going, but the fact that it provoked that level of emotional response told me it was a success. And my brother said, I'm not going to publish the game if you leave it in. The risks of their company being seen so poorly is too high. They must be removed. And I'm going like, screw you, I'm not removing them. And then he got my parents involved. And my parents, who are original investors. And so my dad always took my brother's side. My mom used to take always my side, except on this subject. My mom even came out against me. And she was like, Richard, it's just not worth it. It's only one room. You don't want good housekeeping to come out against you and decry your game and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going like, you are all wrong. You can choose to publish it or not, but it is staying in the game. And in the end, they had no choice but to let it go in the game, and it went out, and no one ever complained about it. So no one complained. No one even talked about it. But
no one even suggested like give him like yellow eyes or something inhuman.
No, well, that's an Apple II, dude. There's no yellow eyes.
Oh,
it's black and white. So
and they're like this tiny.
So what was funny, so starting with like the next game and the next game and the next game and the next game, every game I've done since has had the room of homage to killing children. And it almost always involves you doing something that inadvertently creates a circumstance where children will die. And while nobody noticed it in Ultima 4, over years people began to notice it and going like, what the hell is up with Lord British? Because he always has these places where the player is having to slaughter children in order to get through the game. And in all the cases, you don't have to. It's just, but you might as well. They're monsters. They're children of the corn. They're monsters. So you might as well kill them. But that's where it comes from.
We have that problem now with herding encounters. Get a road encounter and it's filled with cows and a few dogs watching them. And if you get too close to the dogs, they will attack you. But they're really slow moving. You can just root the dog or outrun it.
Right.
So we have people complaining about herding encounters where they have to kill the dogs. It's like, no, you don't have to kill the dog.
Yeah. But anyway, that's where it comes from. So, so yes, I hope forever there will always be the room of killing children.
So one thing I changed about that, I don't know if it's like a year ago or more, was what I didn't like was that you didn't see it coming. A lot of people just sort of accidentally kill them like all the time. Like most of the people accidentally kill them because they would step on this secret pressure plate. So I wanted them to see it coming. I wanted them to make that choice because I thought it took away from it for it to be accidental. So I took away the pressure plate trap gimmick, and now you have a choice of how to get through it. The killing thing is still in there if you sort of want to be sloppy and rush through it and care.
And Crafty Method, by the way, pointed out the kink room was more disturbing. So because and again, this was the theory for that. So the theory for that was, now that most of us are adult, we're not children anymore, because I wanted to point out the hypocrisy of attitudes towards S&M, for lack of a better word, but in that how much is too much, how far is too far. And so we built a series of rooms that progressively pushed the envelope from body, S&M bodiness to actual violence, and then whether that violence was perpetrated on a male or on a female. And the whole point of it was to just put it out there in front of you. It was not to make any statement, and it was just to force you to face it. And that's what I did with a lot of later Ultimas too. They were really meant to just put up the provocation of just going, what do you do if? In fact, Ultima 8, the much maligned Ultima 8, was largely a story where in that game, you actually would perform rituals by putting like candles on the literal corners of a pentagram and literally standing in the center and chanting, demonic names and other things, which immediately offended a lot of employees. I actually had employees quit versus work with me on putting a game in that had symbology that they found offensive.
Yeah.
But in my case, I'm here to point out the fact that all of this is modern tropes that people bring with them. I mean, most of you probably know the history of the pentagram. A lot of Catholic cathedrals have pentagrams all over it. It was the symbol of the Knights Templar, and it was and it was a symbol, by the way, of somewhere around here I have these phi calipers that show in fact, my son's middle name is Phi, 1.61803330 blah blah blah, is the golden ratio. I don't have my calipers here in reach, but the pentagram manifests this ratio that shows up in all of nature and all of aesthetics and all this other kind of stuff. And so it was seen up until a few hundred years ago as a divine shape and proportion that showed how God's perfect proportions manifested in all this geometry in the world around them. And it was only when the church wanted to take the money, steal the money back from the Knights Templar, that they vilified it and made it into the sign of evil now for all scary movies and all TV evangelists, for lack of a better term. And so I felt it was a good symbol to bring back to showcase, just like I did with Gargoyles and Ultima 6, just like I did with other things where people are trained to believe that if it's red and leathery, has fangs and claws, it must be evil. And so I'm basically showing everyone they can be bigoted, showing everybody they can be racist, so everybody they can have all these closely held beliefs that have no basis in rationale other than how they were raised, and to try to get them to rethink their stance on a wide variety of these otherwise potentially closely held beliefs. So anyway, that was the intent, and you can judge for yourself how it went.
Nice. I love hearing this kind of backstory.
All right, we are getting ready to run Prizening again.
Let's do that, and then let's go play. Yes,
exactly. Get that going. So I'm just giving folks a chance to get off their last efforts at Happy Birthday, Lord British.
I'm going to go grab myself another beverage. I'll be right back online, too. Hang on. Be right back.
Okay. In fact, I think fix my microphone.
By the way, I am still in Castle Atos, as are the other devs, including Lord British. I am still giving away Lord British 62 shield items for those players who want it. I'm off to one side of the stage, the steps, and currently I'm juggling these Oracle Eyes if you want to look for me.
All right, it's not working. You guys still hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give up. So sadly, the webcam has taken over my microphone. I was trying to switch it over to my headset, but when I do that, then I stop hearing everybody else. So just a big mess. All right, one more minute, and then we're going to run the Prizening.
Vesper, I hear you broadcasting something.
Sorry.
It's okay. So how many prizes are we giving out this time? 2 sets?
Yep.
Nice.
While Steven's doing that, I got a big kick out of, you guys were showing your challenge coins earlier, and I got this one when I was in the office, and I did not even realize it was rare until Richard told me it was a rare coin.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
I don't have one. I have all the other ones. Or do I?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. That is a very nice one.
That is very rare, by the way. It's not just slightly rare, but I've only seen like 4 in my life.
How many wedding challenge coins are there? I know Scotty has one.
I have one right here. So there's mine.
Oh, geez, Keith! Wow.
Don't spend them all in one place.
I have lots from Shroud, but when I brought this one out, Richard was like, "Oh my God, that is super rare." I had no idea it was even rare.
Yeah.
Okay, we got the.
I think I flicked that one out when we were at Dragon Con one year as my coin that was rolling around in my purse. It no longer rolls around in my purse, by the way.
So have any of you on voice here with us, or on? I can see the feeds too. I'm curious. Ethan Hawke wrote a book called "Rules for a Night," and it's actually quite good. It's a little, small format, hardbound book, or at least hardbound. One time I bought it, might be a paperback now too. And they're little stories, they're little parables, and they're all about virtues basically. And it's not my virtues, and but they're all just chivalric honor things, but told in a relatively modern way and told very succinctly. And anyway, I think they're quite nice. But it made me think about maybe I should at some point work on a Lord British's virtues kind of home to really enumerate what might ultimately become ethical parables like that are used as a basis of quests sometime for the future, but also just check it out. I like it. It's good. It's worth reading if you haven't seen it.
Cool. Okay. we have 2 more prizenings up here.
You might want to hold on a second. It looks like we're in another ad here.
Okay.
Richard, while we're holding on for a second, I want to suggest that if you do make your way to Port Harmony, there is a character in the inn, and she claims to be the Avatar. I feel she's entertaining. She entertains me anyway, but her name is Peregrine. And, all the, or most of the people, at least, the Port Harmony believe her. And then when you tell people I'm the Avatar, they go, no,
yeah, right. Whatever. Weird to know. Yeah.
What about the Avatar? She's in the tavern right now.
You don't even have an awesome horse like she does.
Yeah, she has everyone else in the horse.
So it looks like poor Diablotine was summoned to a work emergency and missed earlier. If we have a second.
Is Diablotine back?
Yes.
Back now, yeah.
I'm looking around in the map here for Diablotine.
Then I'll switch over to the game
Come
screen
back
again.
forward to the Diablotine if you're in the scene.
Diablotine, please come to the rug at the top.
Come stand at the center of the serpent and the cross.
Basically, that's where Lord British is. If you don't know the layout of the
And here, wait, we'll see if I can't summon him here.
And don't forget they have a little bit of a delay, so it's going to take them a few minutes to hear.
Yep, here, I just summoned him. Wherever he is now, he will be here shortly. Like it or not.
Surprise!
Yeah, it's not surprising that it's hard to get around this place. There's still a ton of people in Castle Lactos working on.
Yeah. Yeah, I have another friend request.
Oh, there.
Well,
just popped up.
Here, let me just.
Might take a second for them to.
Yes, of course, to have control.
Catch up.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is coming in late, Diablotine had a little bit of a reward earlier, and I think we might be redoing it now. We're a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as we think Diablotine has control of their character. Very good. I'm here. Okay.
I'm here, says Deb.
Oh. Welcome.
There you go.
Diablotine, please kneel before Lord British. Just /kneel.
Yes, and so Diablotine, if you're also listening in on the stream, what we told people earlier, which I would like to say again here to you now, and let me pontificate here while I say this.
There you go.
But Diablotine, even though we know you had to step out, we really wanted to say thank you to you. Over this last year, it has been spoken within the dev team, across the community, just what an amazing job you have done to pick up the player events like the fishing contests, where you've helped organize them, run them, judge them, give out the prizes for them, and everyone's measure of how that has gone has been extremely well. So it's been greatly appreciated by the team, by the community, and by myself. And so as a way to say thanks, we wanted to invite you into the Order of the New Britannian Empire, which is a knighthood for which you'll be receiving in game some niceties. But also, I would like to offer you this knighthood myself here right now too as well. So rise, Sir Diablotine.
Yay.
And everyone, now you can clap /clap.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and thanks to you. Really, everybody. You know, we don't give these out very often. But you were universally heralded and suggested for an ONBE. So proud to have you within the order. So thank you.
I got the chat up online here showing everybody doing all the emotes.
I'd like to say that the positioning and orientation was such that you did not chop off Diablotine's head like you did.
You notice I worked hard to get that one lined up better than I did with you guys. It dawned on me, by the way, another bug report would be put in. It would seem to me that whenever we bow, it does correct your facing slightly, but not perfectly. And so, for example, if I face this way and then do a /bow, it will more or less straighten me up. But if I then do a /knighting, you'll see. Pardon me, Diablotine. I hope I don't cut off your head here with this test. But you know, it's closer. See, it didn't. You know, mostly just stuck a sword through his chest. But you know, otherwise. But the point is, it doesn't quite exactly line up. That might be something we make sure gets straight on.
I'm not sure how it does that, but that's good
feedback.
Submit that in the forums.
Indeed. So again, congrats. Glad to have you. Glad we got to circle back with you. Hope everything was okay on the work issue you got called away for, or personal issue, whatever it might have been.
Yeah, players so nice they got knighted twice.
Exactly. We knighted you in absentia before, but so the rest of us saw it. But it's nice to do it with your presence as well.
Yep. Which of course you could go and review the stream and see that.
Yeah, when I think I did cut off your head on accident. So this one was much better. Okay, is it time now to run off and do some adventures, or are we still doing there? Did you get the prizening out?
Yeah, we have to do the prizening, and then we'll be ready to do the adventure.
All right, prizening it is.
Okay, so let's get. Let me try to. Okay, so we're gonna not be on camera here while we do this.
That's all right.
Where's my? Oh, there it is, right in front of me. Okay. Managing multiple windows on one monitor really is horrible. Okay. There. Okay, got it. Finally. Okay. Does anybody want to share the responsibility here? Read off player names or the prizes?
It can't be me because I don't have the capability.
Yeah, you're not in the chat right now. Justin, do you want to do it with me, or do you want me to just do it? I might have seen this.
Muted.
All right. Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
So you can go ahead and do it. I'm looking for a title to hand out.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll read
If you're looking through the items list, just do the ONBE, and it'll be the second hit in the list. Okay. All right. So if you're ready, you'll do the names. I will do the prizes. So we have a Lord British round shield that will go to
Iron Mayhem and White Widow.
Then a Lord British medium telescope, who goes to
Asmo and Xanthan.
Then a Lord British throne.
Arya Bloodmoon and Neferlamite.
And a Lord British...
I'm not sure. My French is terrible.
Lord British Moondial.
Shady Death and Irish Eyes.
And then the long-coveted original Lord British birthday cake from 2014.
Which is probably a bit stale by now. Xanthan and Ardent Obscuro. Unless it's a fruitcake. Those last forever.
Oh, yeah, they do. Congratulations to all the prize winners this round. And we're going to embark on an adventure at this time. At this point.
Great. And Mountain, thank you for your friend request. Nice to be connected.
my list here. So I believe that all right. So I think we're going to split this up into 2 groups, right? Is that what our plan is at this point?
That's fine.
I believe one is already running.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
where's the open group?
where's the first open group going right now?
Yeah, it's
You
got
can
no
head to the breach.
To the breach? Okay. So do we want to run both groups into the breach?
Dear friends. Sure.
Yeah, I'd say run it. Well, I don't know how the system will handle the 2 groups, if you need to split them up or not. It's for you guys to make the call. And what I'll do is, why don't you guys lead 2 groups in? I will teleport. Tell me who the 2 leaders are. I'll alternatively join each group.
I'm already open. Alt F.
Right.
Okie-dokie. All right, so let me get this out of the way, and then here. Okay. All right, then.
So Beavers and Rablox, you 2 are the leaders, correct?
No, actually, I'm not going to be the leader because I'm going to be slewing through the whole
you're gonna be
thing.
So who's the other leader then?
Yeah. So yeah, who's going to start the second group? Is this going to be Justin? Do you want to do it?
I'm
Or
already
She's in the
group
first
with
one.
Vesper. Yeah, I'm already in the
Oh,
first group.
okay.
Okay.
And
All right, then.
Diablotine, I cannot pass you your title. I'm going to mail it to you. So give me just a quick sec. It won't let me trade it.
Oh, I didn't realize that one was marked no trade too.
Yeah, apparently. So it's okay. There's a mailbox right here. I'll just mail it.
Keith, could you be the leader for the second group?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can do this. What's the settings? Open party. What's the description? I
Yeah.
should put? And then where am I going to go? The breach?
Yeah, the breach. Yeah, you could just make the description Lord British Bash or something like that. Literally, we're going to bash things.
Cheer! I'll cheer for that.
Thanks, Coswald. I'll need that.
Wouldn't the Lord British Bash be bashing with the
Hey, no, we're not doing that.
Put Lord British in the breach. That's what I call it.
There you go. Excellent.
All right, we have 12 people now.
Okie dokie. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'll teleport to one of the players who's in the breach. When you guys go over there, so we have well, Viper's group is in there. It's over there.
Ray Zero, thank you for the friend request.
All right, should I go to the breach now as well?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hide CS Nomis, thank you for the friend request.
This is
to be
also this is episode 2, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if there's anybody, we might have to pull them in if there's somebody
Yeah.
who can't get in.
I'm not up for fighting this afternoon, but if anyone needs a ride to specific scenes, I can go and help summon.
Ta-ta for now, all of you here in this scene. I'm going to head over to the breach myself right now.
So for players who aren't familiar with the breach, just loosely, we have our main continent area, our episode 1 area, is how we release, but we have an episode 2 area, downloadable content section. Breach is a variation of a type of a runes seen visually, and just sort of like a nice open space area. You fight some bad guys. There's sort of like a special battle toward the middle or far side. I don't know if it's literally in the middle, but middle-ish.
And I can see it. That's Ravalox. That's you with the camera up over it, showing it from afar, right?
Yes. Yeah, we give them a little bird's eye view of the area here. Obsidian structures and courtyards.
Oh, just screwed up my chat window. Oh well. There we go.
There are a bunch of us standing near the entrance. Should we head on in?
I would say yes.
Yep.
All right, in we go. I've never been here. Let's check it out.
Still waiting for 2 people, I think, in my team.
Tier 15. Let me go check out that structure. Are these all enterable? Let's find out. Indeed they are.
No, they might have occupants, though.
Indeed. Well, the occupants are half the fun. Oh, wow. Hey, looky there.
All right, I'm going to go in with everyone else. And the 2 people who aren't on my team, hopefully they'll be able to catch up. One of them is Coswald. I'm sure he can get here.
Yeah. This,
Crafty Method.
seems...
Hopefully he can also come here.
There's a nice pig on this roasting on a spit.
Originally, I guess I'll give a little backstory as we go. Originally, that pig was just locked onto that spit and not something you can grab off. And then we had a little gimmick where you can spin it, and then later on, Beezus turned it into an actual food item that you can take off the spit. So,
Do kobolds actually eat pig, though? I thought they eat mushrooms. That's what they're growing in their cities.
I guess it must want like a balanced diet. I'm just following everyone. We're one big, massive 24-person group, I guess, in that sense.
Where's Vapors? Where's your group at? Are they in the same instance as us?
Earth Elemental. Yeah, we're all in the same instance. We've almost got the Earth boss down. We've killed the fire already.
So I gotta go over and find.
And we'll be heading to the water now.
So Chris Spears or Atos, he was the one who set this up. But let me tell me if I misremember it. There are 4 elemental, I'll call them lieutenants, around the scene, and when you take out all 4, then the central boss fight area activates.
You have to kill them within 10 minutes.
10 minutes, right? This time, okay.
I'm curious. Am I near the center courtyard? Has this got the septagram in the center of the center?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. That's the center.
Okay, yeah. So this will only activate after we do the outer regions. Okay.
Yeah, assuming we do it within the proper time frame.
Well, with 2 groups scouring, there should be no excuses.
Yeah.
We've got 3 down. We're headed to the last one now.
What? That was so fast. You guys are so fast. Here's a water elemental still here. And what does it take to take him down? I didn't actually see the early enough into it to see. You have to kill the lieutenants?
Yeah, it's like a water elemental, a fire elemental, that kind of thing. They
Earth
stand
and
out
air.
from the crowd.
So, in the northeast side right now is where the air elemental is. That's the last one. We're just starting it.
East northeast. All right, headed that way.
And sometimes a little bit off center, near that sort of special courtyard area, there might be like a slightly tougher than normal, probably also a little bit larger than normal bad guy. Like it rarely might be a dragon. I forget what the alternatives are, but it's just
a demon, an energy vortex, a clockwork monkey.
Yeah, the clockwork monkey's out right now.
Okay, the center should be active.
Okay, so we head to the center now?
It has not yet.
Oh, nope, sorry.
Nothing's here yet, yeah.
It will be. You have to stand there for a little bit.
In the lightning storm here?
The very center of the scene.
Yeah, there they go. Demons! Obsidian shards.
So the shards offer buffs and debuffs. So we want to take those out.
They help the bad guys.
Yep.
What I kind of wish, and I don't know if it's possible, I kind of wish there was like a little marker on my compass to sort of point me in the direction of my teammates. Like it doesn't have to be something as big as like a normal POI marker. Just like a little hint that everyone's in front of me or to the left of me or something.
Well, you should be able to see your party members' names if you scan the scene in the distance.
Yeah, party members' nameplates don't fade out with distance when they can't be blocked by terrain.
Yeah, but right now we're in the middle of like a big massive battle, 24 people and some number of bad guys, so there's all this chaos in front of me. It'd be nice if I could say, just like look to the top of my screen and say like, oh, all my guys move to the left or right. I'll stick with them.
Well, I wonder who we can get to put that on the Jira stack.
Yeah. So I'm making note for myself.
So this is a reprise of all 4 of the elemental bosses, plus all the demons.
So demons came first?
They'll keep coming.
Something else about the scene, it was it's what we call a clone. It started as a clone of another scene, and we did some adjustments to make it more unique. So it was like a dry scene originally, and put a lot of snow all over the place. Changed the trees, support the fact that it was in a cold area, and some other changes like that. And then, of course, we changed the sort of courtyard area to give it like a nice big open boss fight space. I'm watching my allies. They're getting hit hard, and I watch their health just sort of like go from like almost full, like almost missing, almost fully empty. There you go. Fire, Lord of Fire.
Another
This
wave
is the
comes
final
in.
boss, so we want to take down the shards again.
Yep, in the center there is Spawn of Pele, Lava Golem.
I am walking up.
Keith, are you saying your controller's broken?
I was unable to move for a second, and my camera was just like pointing like up to the sky, like right up my character's nose. Did it look like it?
No, didn't look like it. Big cluster of people here battling them.
This is generally far more difficult when there are 24 people.
The first time I ran this scene with a group, I died 52 times I was resurrected. And I was only one person in a party of probably 8.
A lot of chaos going on. So many of us.
What do you would think that? Not unexpected.
Mogul Raz Duck. It's really getting railed on in my group. Doing a good job staying alive though.
There you go.
I was just gonna say, how's his health looking?
Lagalicious. Woo!
Even with this much firepower in our group, it takes some time.
Yeah. Double cult.
What's he doing?
He said, "Now who can solo it?"
I wonder how long it would take to take down the frost giant.
Solo? What, with us?
Well, solo we know because Coswell did it. Would it take 3 hours, right?
Yeah, you have to. I think you got 2.5 hours actually. Without an organized group, it's not possible. You end up fighting yourself, kind of thing. You have to be very specific in your tasks, which is very cool.
Yeah. I really love that fight.
Yeah, we're not organized enough.
What are you saying about this group? Just because I'm running around in circles on the outside.
I had a lot of trouble selecting a target that I wanted. Like there were a couple times when I saw someone's health going down, even though I'm not set up as a healer, I wanted to, my buddy, and it just wouldn't unselect the bad guy. That was, it took like, let's say 30 seconds. It might have been a lot faster. It felt like forever before I selected the Allen.
Because of the panic, it felt like longer.
Yeah. Come on, go switch, go switch. They're dying.
I tried to mute my mic so that all the cursing was quiet.
All right, what's next?
You guys want to go on to?
If we're all episode 2 positive, then
Yep.
we can,
Yeah, you want to do Vicklin?
we could do Vicklin.
I'm not sure everybody's episode 2 positive.
We're in episode
I'm
2
playing
right now.
Taxi, so if anyone needs a summon to an episode 2 scene, I'm available.
Yeah, I can help too.
Okay, so Vicklin?
So Richard, explain to you, and everyone else, of course, will benefit. Vicklin is it's a really big scene. I overloaded myself with extra work, not realizing the scale of the scene I was making. So it's sort of like 4 scenes large, 4 times larger than it should be. But it's like it's a big sort of like seaside scene, I guess. A lot of forest stuff, a lot of things to do. A little village with these sort of Viking type people to trade with and such. And there's also like a secret valley that you can only get to through a simple puzzle, I guess.
Okay, let's go there.
Guys, I've had a question raised. Are we going back to Castle Athos when we're finished, or is everything done there?
I think we're more or less wrapped, other than these last little adventures.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. This is kind of the tail end. We'll do this for as long as we could do it, and our stomachs will bear, and then food becomes a thing.
My tummy is growling.
And
So that's the real reason you muted?
I have a young child I have to feed also, so I will need to.
You should automate that somehow. Like one of your little clockwork automaton situations.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we'll get right on that.
Yeah.
Send them to cooking classes.
Yeah.
We already know he knows how to catch fish.
You do know that, don't you? All right. So people already gone to the next place, Vickland. Is that the place, Vickland?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go join there. I'm gonna go zone there.
I popped up in the middle. I'm going to go to the village.
Yep, I'm in the middle of the village.
So I'll try. I need to be careful because I don't have God mode on. You can't drop it from like 7,000 feet in the air. It'll hurt.
You'll be fine.
Just land in water.
Yeah, I was right next to water.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thanks.
Very nice. Very authentic.
It reminds me very much of Bermuda.
Yeah, I didn't want them to be the standard type of drab colored semi brutes. So they are still, I guess, the biker gang of the Norgard Empire, but that doesn't mean that they don't like colors in their world. So they have like a variety of dyed cloth and painted signs and such. By the way, we have a bard trainer in the game. Currently, he is in Ruins of Utgard, but we're moving into this village here in Vikland. I'm letting everyone know. He's going to be moved over toward the tavern. There's a little tent by the tavern. That's where his new home is going to be.
Yeah, I'm taking bets on how long it takes one of his neighbors to get pissed off and smash his loot.
Yeah, he does play their loot once in a while, so that's possible.
Where is it? Is it this tent over? Well, you can't see where I'm going, but
He's not here yet.
oh, so the tent doesn't exist yet. Then
He's not here yet. There's a single urchin. So it's by one of the exits. It's a green tent, like a grass green, I guess, by an outhouse. And if you know where the crafting supplies merchant is, it'll be across the path from the crafting supplies merchant.
okay.
And yeah, so it'll be over in this spot. But I kind of like it. I just like the scene in general, but I like the village because like each NPC kind of has a purpose. There's a few people like guards or whatever that I call raiders that are more general purpose guys. But a lot of times these days, there's not like a lot of fluff NPCs. They'll have a quest, they'll have a little bit of background that they need to tell you, or obviously they're like a merchant or a trainer or a banker or something like that.
Injured rangers. The Viklanders stole their green crates of food.
Yep, spoiler. Well, that's your biggest spoiler. Yeah, he's a ranger. Port Harmony did exist when I put him in, but he is basically from like a Port Harmony or some sort of outskirts of Port Harmony hamlet.
I might piss some people off if I come in here and smash their food crates.
Yeah, he's a good example of a moral dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
here's
Keith, talk a little bit about the rune stuff. I'm slewing over and looking at one of the rune stones.
The rune stones?
Yeah, where you collect the pillars. Yeah.
Okay, so as more and more as time goes on, I want to try and find ways that I allow you to adjust your virtue scores, your truth, your love, or your courage. And a lot of times that's through discussion with NPCs. So you can have like the jerk response or the sort of the good guy response, and that'll sort of adjust your scores a little bit. Sometimes when you're fighting bad guys, like you kill a Kabbalist and you'll get a certain amount of courage points. So there's some obvious ways. You steal stuff and you lose some honesty points, truth points. But I also want to find sort of environmental ways where you can adjust those scores. Even if it feels a little weird, but it's a semi-mystical sort of way where you pay tribute to something and then that sort of benefits you. So in this scene, we have these 8 virtue monoliths out there. And as you fight bad guys, or sometimes I think they might be in chests. I forget how to set it up. But you might find these Vikland runestones. The Vikland runestones, there's a couple of purposes, but one of the uses for them is you can go to one of these monoliths, virtue monoliths, which is sort of it's a little bit bigger than a person, and it's got like a rune letter on there, and that connects to one of the virtues. So, there's 6 ones. It's a positive truth, negative positive courage, positive love, negative love. And as you find one, you sacrifice the runestone that you might have to the monolith, and that'll affect your virtue a little bit, depending upon which one. Yeah. So if you're sort of paying tribute to love, then that'll sort of increase your love score. Over time, we do have some ways truth, love, and courage to affect the game. One of the most recent quests of Port Harmony, actually 2 recent quests of Port Harmony, will rely on one of your virtue attributes. So if you talk to one NPC and you're sort of negative in a certain way, then they will give you a certain quest. But if you're not that, then they won't give you a quest. If you're talking to a different NPC and you are positive in a certain virtue, then they will give you a quest. Otherwise, they won't give you a quest. So there are effects that'll happen, effects in the world based upon virtue. Besides the fact, if you have, most people know if you have the shroud, the wearable item, that it'll be light or dark depending on what your virtue is. So that's how those work. You can also use those rune stones, the Vicklin runes, rune stones. There's a sort of a teleporter way out in the world. It's like a 2-port teleporter that you can use it to activate those teleporters to get you around. And I don't remember if I put in a quest. Somebody accepts rune stones. I feel I must have. I don't remember who it is now. At any rate, that's how you use the rune stones. We've talked about the scene before, so I don't.
Right.
Just go into all the extra details of it. But, so we can just sort of go around fighting. We can just sort of work our way toward just to get the cave that eventually leads to the secret valley. If we want to do that.
So I use those rune stones. They're super cute as as mahjong pieces on my picnic table.
Oh yeah, they are decorations. Yeah. Originally we had just I guess Alpine rune stones, and they weren't really that special. And then we had the Vicklin rune stones and the Jotengren rune stones, and is there a 4th one? Tanglemire rune stones, or Spindleskog rune stones. I mean, so there's 4 of them, and when I got to Vicklin, I was like, oh man, we have like so many of them now. Like I tried to give them a little extra pizzazz, so the coloring and the symbol on it's a little bit different, and they got a better unique icon now.
They look excellent as mahjong pieces.
Great. I'm fine with people using any decoration in any way that they were not intended for. Use your ingenuity to make something that you like. But all right, let's go around and do the usual killing of everything we see. That's what I say.
Well, and I've been doing that myself, and I, for one, I'm going to have to turn into a pumpkin shortly, just because I need to take care of a youngin. But
so let's do some quick killing before LB's got to go. I think you went out the north side. At least I saw you out the north before. And that's where
headed to the north side. Okay, I'm headed north.
I think
through boar and deer.
I know I know the general area where you were when you met that ranger.
Oh, that was the entrance on the other side, I think. I'm headed north, though, is where I'm headed right now.
Okay.
We'll try and open up.
I'm on my own right now up north.
The back area.
What's the back area to you?
Like the bit with all the silver through the puzzle.
Oh, and I found a tower here.
So one thing I like to do is I call it like my Mount Fuji. So a lot of times in the old Japanese paintings and stuff, Mount Fuji could be seen like in the background. Have sort of a mountainous thing with like a big statue of what I call like a witch on top. So this kind of thing is like great for orientation, I think, for players. So if I say like, "Oh, everyone go to the big mountain with the witch statue on top," then everyone kind of would know where to go, no matter which way they are. And for the most part, you have like a good view of where it might be, no matter where you are in the map. So that's where I am right now. I don't know where everyone else is, but that's where I am.
I'm still headed north. I went by a Vickland runestone tower thing.
Yeah.
I'm now through a short little pass through to on the beach.
Okay. You might actually be near us.
Yeah, you're gonna want to turn inland.
Oh, I see on the beach there's a giant skeleton. Further
Oh
to
yeah,
the
I know.
north.
Yep. Okay, I know where you are. So let's go to the Obsidian Docks. I think is what it's called, which is where that skeleton is.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I also made, I don't know if you've seen him yet, Richard.
A
We
reef
have
spider.
Reef spiders, yeah. So we don't have crabs in the game, or lobsters, or anything like that. So I came up with the hopefully clever idea of the reef spider, which fills the ecological equivalent of like a crab. And we colored it, and I didn't know how to make pets, so you couldn't turn them into pets right away. But then Beezus came to my rescue and helped make that happen. And now players can get their own reef spider pets.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some fighting that can happen at the docks right here next to this skeleton.
Yes, I see the docks now.
Yeah. So let's all go to the
Oh,
docks.
I like it.
And,
I like it.
Belladonna Rose is requesting that someone spawn the big kitty.
Big kitty. I don't have.
The
I'll spawn
Smilodon Fatalis?
if somebody can, or you can spawn it if you want, or somebody can give me the.
Well, no, this is the scene where it's in. You would spawn it by using the bait.
I don't have bait. Oh, but I can get the bait from the jump, from the pile of. I don't know. I forgot what I called it. I'm waiting any second now for the fish to start swimming above the water. There's a glitch that sometimes that fish will appear above the water, and then I'm seeing it a lot in the new scene that I've been working on, the Port Harmony Cistern spot. I'm gonna follow these people along the beach.
Pardon me.
By the way, to the north, and then once we pass these rocks, I'm gonna turn right, and we're gonna go east to the mountains.
Okay. I'll follow.
They're just sea robins. That's all.
Yeah. So something the problem I found in Port Harmony Cistern is there's like a little watery area that's separated from the dry area, and sometimes, even though the fish are supposedly way inside the safety zone, one of them keeps like spawning outside, and so he's like swimming in the middle of a room, and he can't get back in because once he's like outside his swimming area, he can't get back in.
Statue of the Witch and the Troll.
Yes. They are part of a. I don't have a term for it, but I'll call it a world quest. You just sort of like start. You find something somewhere, and it starts you on the trail of doing that quest.
I accidentally exited the map.
Oops.
Oh no.
So we're moving to the cave where the cats are. And Richard, if you want, once you finish zoning, I can summon you to us.
Yeah, summon me. Go ahead and summon me right now.
Lord British, there he is. So, there we go.
Thank you.
Worked. Yes. Okay. I always forget where all the stuff is, because I made this scene so big. Did I pass it?
You could check the map. Seen it a good map.
Who checks maps?
Not me.
around the corner from it? You know, what's dumb about being me is that I fly around these maps so much. I think we passed it.
Now, the interesting thing is about the map on this. Sorry, Keith, to interrupt. Is that I'm showing it on stream now? Is that the map doesn't show the hidden valley?
I already did it, and I'm gonna play my playthrough. This is what I did. It's my playthrough. Wow. You see, we have to click to jump. I have to click on like spatial things and those.
All right, so I'm gonna fly up. I'm gonna cheat.
That's awesome playthrough.
All right.
Everybody decide. I'm surprised I did it myself. That part was tricky.
Oh, everyone's already there. Okay.
There we go.
Oh, and they already opened the door, so I guess they already killed the big cats.
That's awesome.
Oh, you here, Richard, or do you need me to summon you again?
I need to be honest.
Oh, he's busy.
I'm back.
Did you need me to summon you?
Yes, please.
Where are we on? Okay.
I was dealing with young son there. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Okay, I'm summoning you again.
Mm-hmm.
So we are at an entrance to. Eventually, it becomes a secret valley, but there's like a little underground area.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a little puzzle with a few statues that pay tribute to some Kabbalists. Because we don't want to forget the Kabbalists. They refuse to be forgotten. You see everyone's waiting inside. Probably should have went inside. There you go. So there's you can't get in here until you do a certain quest, and that sort of gives you one of the things you need to get inside here. So now that we're all inside, we could just keep going through the tunnels. I don't even remember if we went through these tunnels. We're showing off the game. So we just keep going. I've always liked the idea of like mixing and matching terrain.
My kids grew up while we were building the early Shroud of the Avatar. So and so their greatest joy was in those early days watching me jump into a river in a town and seeing all the real other players also jump into the river and swim.
Yeah.
And when there wasn't much else to do other than explore, because my kids were just enamored with it. How can there be other real people here that are all swimming together?
I assume people know how to activate the elevator?
Not me.
I feel somebody might be doing it.
It's a secret.
An elevator?
Mark.
So I figured it out.
I rang a chime. Did it help or hurt? Oh, there's a ghost.
Depends which chime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
So
hurt him. Oh, there it is.
I love this.
Quick, go get on it.
I might cheat a little bit so we can actually catch up with people. I think people came back for me and you, Richard. They're a little guilty.
Oh, I'm on the elevator now. Is it not going to go up, or will it go up?
It's not. There's a sort of a time-based trigger that has to happen. Okay, you on the elevator?
Yep.
Mark's doing it again. All right, get on the elevator. Everyone on here? I think everyone's on. Just gonna sort of go. Oh, it's not doing.
Stay on the elevator. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Everyone stay on the elevator. Stay on the elevator.
Here we go.
I
I think
cheated.
we left something behind. Oh, there we go.
The NPCs, we still, whoops, I fell off. The NPCs still can't go on elevators. So that might be what you saw.
Yeah, probably so.
Or someone summon.
Yeah, I think there might have been someone down there. If someone needs help catching up, we can summon them.
Summon. Enduring Pale One.
Oh yeah, he's you would like him, I think, because he is kind of a.
I watches
there.
you survive. Tell me about the eye. Obsidian eye, strong eye, sees terrible eye, knows hateful, pleases eye. What is your job? I commands Iviglitus. No name. Okay, goodbye.
Somebody's opened the door, the shortcut door next to us if we want to go through there.
Oop, right here? That's the way we came from.
Now, we came from the long hallway, but if you look at this open door, I don't know if you can see where I am.
The spider webs.
Yeah. So there's a little spoiler, so people don't want the spoilers. Just close your ears for a second. The Enduring Pale One that you met, there's two ways to get to this place, where this exit of the tunnels where we are right now. We can either go through a hallway that has a fight, or if we interact with the Pale One, he can give us a key for this side corridor that doesn't have a fight. And of course, you can probably kill him to get the key if you want, but you don't have to. There's certain things you can say to him to get the key as an option. So there's basically three ways to get through. Two of them kind of connect to virtue. It's I jumped again. I shouldn't have. Watch that. I like A and B choices where neither choice is wrong, and the more important the choice, the bigger both results can be. And even cooler, both choices are both tinted with a problem. You know, A is good, but it has a little problem as well. Or B is good in a different way, but it also has a different little problem.
A Vicklin crystal is required to open that door.
Yeah. So the secret area has a lot of there's a variety of Vicklin. So there's 8 crystals. Typically, we have like a lot of 3 in color or 8 in color things to sort of match up with the virtue concept. Virtues. So there are 8 colored crystals that you can use. Some of them relate to the building that you're just trying to go in. But even still, if you're not looking to go in the building, there are some areas. Usually, it's a treasure chest that has a type of lock that you put the crystal in, and you get a little bit of extra treasure. This center area with these little weird lightning things going on. This is a wave battle of a sort. A little bit of damage that comes from this electricity.
Pale ones have some money in them. Well, this looks beautiful. It's awesome.
Thanks.
I like it a lot. It's really gorgeous.
Eye here.
Yep.
And when things went south for the Obsidian Eye forces, you know, a lot of guys were left here. You know, in Novia, you know, there's the elves and the human, you know, Obsidian Eye elves and the Ebondoan humans who still pay tribute to them. But the guys here, they kind of were like left on their own, and they still, the pale ones are here. What I call the pale ones are what we call like the underdwellers from the Epitaph. So they were kind of like left on their own. They sort of stay in the shadows. They're still waiting, expecting that the Obsidian Eye will come back. They don't necessarily know what actually happened to him. And, you know, he's definitely kind of been deified for them. If he wasn't before his fall, then he definitely is now. And so that's kind of what happened here. This is
awesome. But I must say, I, at least for one, need to start winding down.
Yep.
So this has been great. All right. How, Ravlox, do you want to wrap up?
Thank you everybody for hanging out for this for so long. Actually, what we'll do is we'll do one more Prizening. If we could do that. Yep. And then we'll say adieu to everybody. I have to say, when Samuel was making the scene, I was just totally enthralled with it. It was great.
It's really, really nice. Really, really nice.
Yeah, it's probably a scene where this Secret Valley could have or should have been a nested scene, but for some reason I wanted it to be part of the main scene as well.
So you did.
And
so I did.
To make sure that it was something of a surprise for the players. If you bring up the in-game map, this whole area looks as if it's a mountain. So it's just a hidden area.
And I still had the fallback. If something was like wrong with the scene and people couldn't really play it because it was too big, then we would have split it up so that this was the Secret Valley area was a separate contested scene. They're still always possible.
Just a note for last chance Prizening.
Happy birthday, Lord British, is what you wanted to say. It's a little too late now, but it's what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
But for future reference, the phrase changes. If this is like your first Prizening situation, the phrase changes each time that we have a Prizening. It's essentially once a month with a new release. And every time, you have to say it in any in-game chat. So you can whisper it to your friend. You can say in the universal chat. Any way that it gets in the in-game chat, that automatically puts you in to the running for one of these prizing things. And actually, I'll tell you, some people actually get to in a prizing session.
Yeah, sometimes our code needs to be revised a little bit to prevent duplicates completely.
And not to pick on us, but it happens probably too often. So, but if you, from the player perspective, that's pretty awesome if you're someone who like wins 2 prizes during a live stream.
And from the person who mails out the prizes perspective, it's pretty awesome if you win 2
Yeah.
prizes.
Yeah, and also you usually get the prizes like within minutes after you win them or after the live stream is over. You get them in the in-game mail, so you keep an eye out. If you do win something, keep an eye out for your in-game mail.
That's not automated, though. That's just a very quick support person.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the items are, usual like gear or decorations for your house, things like that. Decoration for your lot, not just inside your house. It's not like, say, you might get, I don't even know all the stuff you got. It's not just something you would hang on your wall necessarily. It might be something that you put outside on your ground.
And for any players that went out there with you guys that aren't in a party, if you need a summon back to Castle Atos, you can just whisper Laney in game, and I will summon you back to Castle Atos.
How do you spell that? Laney?
Correct.
Oh, nice. All right. So in this battle, the Obsidian Witch is out. She's the finale character in this wave battle. And now she's gone. She is gone.
She melted.
Okay, so I brought the cameras back up just so everybody knows. And
yep. There's more secret fiction. The Obsidian Witch, the building that Richard tried to get in before, that was hers, and some of the stuff in there is relevant to her backstory. Not that it's a fiction critical backstory to know, but if you're just sort of wondering the connection, that's what's going on. Some people may already have figured out the connection because of things. Some of the stuff in this room I tried to sort of make. So if this is like sort of an obsidian outpost, I put in some stuff that I thought would sort of make sense. Like obviously the witch has her building, but also the this area over here where I am right now, it's just sort of a long empty area with like a two walls, I guess, on either side. To me, it's sort of like a training area. Either they would sometimes sort of just fight each other, or they'd set up a little archery setup so they could train in archer skills, things like that. We won't go in this next room. Oh, someone's already opened the door. So somebody's locked, and there's a bunch of like specimen containers in here. I don't know if anyone has their own specimen containers. They're just awesome.
Just noticed I was back on camera.
Yeah, sorry.
Surprise!
I mentioned that.
Sorry, I was predisposed.
So the backstory behind these specimen things is that one of our world builders actually created the original one, and he did like a great job on it, and we all fell in love with it. And then we had Scotty, remember him from before? We had Scotty, our art guy, refine it and make like an official one. And then eventually there's like we made a deco version of it for players. Although actually, I think Scotty's goal was to make a deco version for players. I think that was why.
All right, I really need to cut out. It's 8 o'clock. I need to take care of the youngin.
Yep. So let's go ahead and do the prizening, and then we'll call it a night.
If you need to go right now, Richard, then I could do this.
No, I'll stay for the prizening. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead and read the prizes. Keith, you want to do the names?
Does Richard want to do the names?
I can't see it, so you have to do it.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's not logged in right now.
Always.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. The Lord British Round Shield goes to
John Donne and Thorvard Tufison.
And Lord British Medium Telescope goes to
Xavier Starfall, good name for a telescope, and Awe.
That's pretty cool. Lord British Throne.
I'm gonna say this wrong, but Voucher, Somber, and also Dr. Hernbrand, or Dr. Hernbrand.
Yeah. Lord British Moondial
goes to Widsith and Lomer Edane.
Cool. And the final, last prizening of the 2023 Lord British Birthday Bash, the original Lord Birthday Cake from 2014, goes to
Crossfire Bugseye and Seamus Spearshaker.
Oh.
Bravo.
Excellent.
And the first person to open a trade window with me, I will give one of my own skulls to.
There you go. That's cool.
And who
You're
will
in
open
combat.
a trade window
Nobody
with...
can open a trade window with you.
Here, let me fix that.
You get one more skull every year, like tree rings?
Hang on, why can't I get out? There we go. There you go. That's it. It wasn't really a fair fight. Apologies for that. It's Vulcan Jedi who will win the skull. And the skull of Lord British. Right here, Vulcan Jedi. There you go.
Okie dokie. So anyway, thanks Lord British for hanging out this long, and thanks for everybody on the stream for hanging out this long. It was a nice. Was it 4 hours that we did this? So the player base has actually asked for a longer stream once in a while. So this is something that we might be able to do again soon at some point.
Yep.
So it takes obviously a lot more coordination. It would be a lot better if I was with all my monitors and setup. So.
Next time.
Yep. All right, well, guys.
This time we're lucky the internet worked at all here with the fire right next door. So.
Well, yeah, this is true. Yeah, this could have been a very interesting situation if it was different.
Many of you don't know, Stephen actually helped run the the fiber optic, the kilometer from up on the street, all the way down to this cabin where we're at. So luckily, we didn't destroy it with the fire. So. Lucky.
All right. So thanks everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you next month.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.